Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Hey guys, how are y'all doing on this Friday? It has been a wild few days. Wild, extremely wild few days. Okay. Question. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys saw the interview that Steve technically did with Bandfield on her channel. She was like, I guess recording. I don't know if she was recording or live, but he called her cell phone. Because we're going to go over it. He says some things. He says a lot of things about Thompson protecting the university. And then he makes a slip up and it almost says something about university players. And then he like backtracks a second. And I find it very interesting. Because Kohberger doesn't have crap to do with the university. So what's Thompson protecting the university for if Kohberger's the right guy? You know, like I feel like Steve's asking questions. Steve's always had these damn questions. That's why this bothers me, because he's always had these questions, but for a bracket of time there, he like forgot. Oh, and apparently they lied, you know, again, which is, you know, so on, you know, theme. According to what he says to Ashley, they didn't get the information before we did. Like, basically, they got to see the documents whenever, like, it went public. So that's wild, too. He was at the corner club. He was sitting in the corner club when he called her. And it's just interesting things. So I wanted to go over it. It's like 11 minutes. I wanted to listen to it before we started going over these documents because I've been looking on Facebook. I've been looking on TikTok. I've been looking at headlines from other videos here. I've been looking on Twitter. I've been looking on Reddit. And I'm not seeing anyone posting like a smoking gun out of like any of the documents that are out there right now. And even Steve Goncalves in this interview is trying to be like, well, the stuff that we said was there. It turns out we were wrong about a lot of stuff. But, you know, whatever happened in Pennsylvania, we don't have access to that. So he's basically trying to say that the reason why everything that they've been coming out and saying over the past almost 3 years isn't in the documents is because it's really like part of the Pennsylvania stuff. And that's why. Hello, what? I'm sorry. Because so when it comes to like his searches, right? Are we supposed to believe that, like, he only searched that stuff whenever he lived in Pennsylvania, but once he moved to Washington, he never searched it again? And that's why, like, there's no access to stuff? Because that makes no logical sense. It's just stuff like that. And I think at this point, he really is starting to ask a lot of questions. But I want you guys to listen to this because I want you to hear him say what he says about the university. Because I find it extremely interesting. I don't know if he was drinking or not. But I know that there's like cuts in places where he mentions he finally he verifies what I said about Payne not working at Moscow anymore and working for the university. And right as soon as he says that, there's like a cutoff. She cuts it off. There's like an edit. And I'm like, ooh, what was said and why is that edited? Like it says she lets him say it, but then she cuts it off and then the subject changes. And I find that interesting. So we're going to watch it. Welcome, Helena. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here for some facts. Yeah, these documents... they've been wild. I saw somebody say something about, I thought these documents were the other day. Let me make sure. Yeah, no, this is, I put 101 through 125 on the thumbnail. Does it say something different in the title? No. But if we go past 125, then that's fine too. Thank you for reading through the documents. Thank you for the $2.99, Mac J. I appreciate it. Thank you for the 10. Say it louder. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the $1.99 penny. Okay, let me go ahead and open this up. So that we can, I did what I did, clipped it, didn't edit anything out of it, clipped it, and then put my little thing on it so that, you know, I can use it. Yeah, and see, he says in here that that's like how they saw it. Because remember, we went through, and I'm going to go ahead and put this same banner up. We went through the interviews where him and Christy and Shannon went on like a couple different like morning talk show places. And Shannon kept saying, they promised us the discovery. They promised us the discovery. Well, then he came on after Trump spoke out about it and was like, oh, they gave us stuff. And then he said it again that they gave them stuff. And then he said again that they had to like rewrite their victim speeches because, you know, they gave them more information. Well, in here, he says it's because everything basically they had in their stuff was wrong. So they had to take out like a whole bunch of stuff, which honestly tracks because Steve, that whatever Steve did say did not sound like Steve. Like, it doesn't sound like that's what he was going to say. Like, I mean, I know he's been like flubber-mouthed, okay, but he sounded like he didn't know which direction to go. Like, he like started with the purpose, but then like everything he had to take out, I guess he had to like think like on the spot. But then I also think back to, okay, if y'all had to take out a whole bunch of stuff that was in y'all speeches, is that why Olivia just went straight up like the way they went? Because now they're just more angry that like they were lied to for so long. So they just like were angry at stuff instead of like, because those speeches were wild, especially that, you know, a lot of those parts that was some wild stuff. So I don't know, but we're going to listen to this, listen to the words, listen to what he says. It's very interesting the way he still to this day is saying Thompson is protecting the university. And I'm telling you, he says university players. Make sure this is up all the way. All right, here we go.
This is calling me right now. I'm going to grab it. Hi, Steve.
Hey, what's up, Ashley?
I'm good. I'm actually just recording a podcast right now. How are you doing?
Thanks. I need to let you go. I'm at the corner bar right now.
See, corner bar, she doesn't recognize it at first that it's the corner club. She even says that later on because he says it again. But they're sitting in the middle of the corner club. Like, I'm guessing with like paperwork in their hands or something like that. But they're sitting, him and Christy are at the corner club. Like, I guess this was last night.
She's finally reading some of the stuff that I heard about.
Right? Like, I
She's
thought
just
so too,
upset.
honestly.
When I see her upset, I get all motivated. I'm just so pissed.
See, motivated for like what? What did you edit right there? I want to know why you edited that right there.
That I mean, all that stuff. Well, for one, we said give it to us first, and they did. And you guys got it before we did, just like U of I got the murders before we did. I mean,
Which stuff?
And what does that mean? The university got the... Did he say murders or news before we did? I can't tell what he says right there. Let me put the captions on.
Us first, and they did. And you guys got it before we did, just like U of I got the murders before we did.
Just like U of I got the murders before we did. So is he saying U of I got to the murderers, or is he actually saying U of I got the murders before we did? Is that like notification, alert? Is that what that is? Yeah, I don't know. Motivated for what? Because that's another thing that's really confusing, because while he's like sitting here in this interview saying that he's ready to be done with it and he's tired and all this other stuff, he's like, I'm motivated to keep going and all these other questions. And I'm just thinking like, bro, if you really like have all these questions, quit playing your stupid games. Quit playing your stupid ass games, Steve. Just get on a freaking, make your own channel, come out here and tell us exactly what the frick you actually have on your mind and quit these stupid ass games. It's okay to sit there and be like, something might actually be wrong here, and this is why. It's perfectly fine to ask questions. So I don't know if like deep down inside he feels like he's going to be a failure for like questioning if they have the right guy, like for real, or what's going on, because he keeps on going back to Thompson's protecting the university. Bryan Kohberger ain't got shit to do with U of I. But for some reason, I still question why, out of all of these years, Fry knew before he even got to Moscow not to involve Pullman into this situation. Why? How did he just have that intuition not to do that for the first time in forever? I just wish he would come out and like be straight up instead of this dancing around stuff. Like, it might be because he's scared for some reason, but you've already spoken enough, broski. Like, we're not going to understand what you need to be or what y'all need to maybe be protected from if you're going to keep dancing around everything. If you really have the real questions about what's going on with the university, like you always have, then you need to come out and be serious and straight up. Quit the games.
Which stuff? Wait, which stuff? Because we got all the material after your 3-hour meeting, I think.
Yeah, but the 3-hour meeting was just a question and answer. We just had to talk to him. There was no documents handed over to us.
Okay.
And we don't know. How do you ask for something you don't know exists?
No, you're right. No, I thought you were given all this material, that they went over it all with you. I didn't realize this was you just asking questions and getting some answers, but not getting all the details.
No, we just wanted questions.
So they met with them for 3 hours, but in that 3 hours, they weren't handed any documents, and they didn't see the documents until they loaded up into the website, is what Steve's saying. But you also have to take what Steve does with a grain of salt, like a big one, honestly, because I was really heated watching them walk into that courthouse with no one like attending them, no one helping them get in without being like, you know, all the cameras in their faces. And Olivia made a big deal about it whenever she was doing the interview with Brian Inton before the sentencing, about how they had to walk across from Winco and they didn't have a place to park and all these other things. Well, then the judge is like, the families are needing to be escorted out. So obviously, because we only saw Steve and Christy and the lawyer, we didn't see Olivia walk in the front. She took whatever was the escorted way in. So Steve did all of that for attention. The whole thing during the sentencing was for attention, because he was supposed to be obviously going in through some escorted door, but he chose not to. So we do have to take everything that he does with a huge grain of salt, regardless of who he is, regardless of how you feel, because he plays these games. So that's kind of like one of these other like cry wolf things, like it is apparently with Dylan. Like, it's really hard to decipher what's real and what's not because of everything he's already done.
Question that was really related, like we want to see in our final statements, which they confirmed a bunch of stuff that we had wasn't accurate, so we removed a bunch of our stuff off that.
See, a bunch of stuff that we had wasn't accurate. A bunch of stuff that they were coming out and saying, he already blamed on the state. He said basically that because the state wasn't telling them anything, they were filling in the gaps themselves. And they basically just didn't care if it was wrong or not. They knew it was wrong, basically, because they didn't have any real information. So everything that they have said and done over the past 2.5 years has literally been nothing more than what we out here do with gaps, trying to fill it in with our own opinions, with our own theories. That's the same thing that they've been doing. But because it's coming from them, it's has more weight. So it became like part of the story. I mean, look what happened whenever they came out with the whole what Hunter Johnson apparently told them thing about Xana's door and Ethan's body blocking the door from being open and them having to call Hunter over to open the door. That was never the story. That was never the story. And instead of Steve taking responsibility for that, he turned it around, blamed it on Christy and Olivia for being involved in who said what and where everything goes, and then changed it to being something about the front door being open. That's not what was being discussed. They took no responsibility for that. And look how long he said that he had proof that Brian's device touched the Wi-Fi. Then he came out right before Dateline and told on Drunk Turkey that that was false. So I don't really know who Steve needs to be mad at more. If he needs to be mad at them for not giving them the information, or he needs to be mad at himself because they, in their own, like, he admitted it himself. He confessed it himself, created all of these things. And now he's mad that none of these things were true in the first place. I mean, it can easily be a mix of both, but that's the reality.
Because I heard Kaylee was stabbed 50 times, but that was actually Xana.
Yeah.
So I took that all out, and then I heard some other things that, like, something about.
But did Steve even like say anything about? And I honestly don't remember. I don't remember him saying anything specifically about like how he allegedly or supposedly like attacked her with the way that she was like unrecognizable. I think Olivia did. I don't honestly remember. I'm gonna have to go back.
I don't know what it was, but basically it made us all rewrite our statements to take out any things that weren't 100% confirmed.
Yeah.
Some of the searches on his phone weren't confirmed, but then they were like, again, they said,
Please tell me how Steve G is a target. Have I said that he's a murder suspect? Because that would mean that he's a target, Jeff. Either shut up or shut up. Like, I've put up with you for years now, and I've really just like, I don't care. Shut up.
Anything that was Pennsylvania research.
This is where it's crap.
Our research. And
Pennsylvania research is different than our research. What does that mean? Whatever happened in Pennsylvania was evidence that was collected for the murders in Moscow. Anything that was done in Pennsylvania was done as evidence collection for a crime that took place in Idaho. So anything that was pulled from searches, pulled from the Wi-Fi router, all of those things, that's direct evidence that they would be taking in for Idaho. So this statement doesn't make any sense. Pennsylvania research is different than our research. What does that mean? So if he's going to try to say that there was other investigations in Pennsylvania, that's not true either. I mean, there could be, I guess, maybe, but I doubt it. The one that they did have, JLR, of course, his little buddy, you know, the one who talks shit about his kid forever, and then he takes selfies with him, you know, he sat there and brought up Dana Smithers all over again, even though we already know that there was no connections for that. There was a grand jury about that. He was cleared of that. So this is, I don't know what he means by this stuff. I don't know if he's just like talking to talk or what he actually means here.
They were researching murders related to his activity in Pennsylvania.
The one that's already been proven no connection to. The one.
We weren't privy to that investigation. When we're not privy to the investigation.
There was no connection. We don't need to be privy to it. That's none of your business. That's none of our business. There's no connection there. See how he's not making sense about stuff?
That the FBI were doing. We are who we are, and we didn't see some of these things. So we're not saying they didn't exist. We're just saying we can't confirm them.
See? So this is where he's going to start talking about the searches and stuff like that, because apparently there's like not a lot of proof of stuff that's coming out in the Moscow records. So now he's just basically saying, well, just because it's not there doesn't mean that it's not real. Does it mean that we were lying? I mean, would it all of this be in like the warrants and stuff? I mean, we've only gotten so far, but I'm not seeing where people are like really doubling down on a lot of stuff. So it's just Weird.
Got it.
When we were saying certain searches and all this stuff, like I heard an investigator called me and said, yeah, not only did he have searches related to drunk girls, he also had related to gagging.
Yeah.
And some of the damage.
I will tell you this about this sort of situation. I don't understand, like, when it comes to like the funerals and this kind of thing, okay? Kaylee was the only one apparently that was like unrecognizable, right? Ethan's family had a whole ass viewing for him. In the book, they're even talking about how Hunter makes a comment to her, to Stacy Chapin, about why Ethan was growing a mustache. So obviously he didn't need to be cremated. I think they said, like, I think Maddie had a laceration on her face, but I don't think they said anything about Xana. I know that when it came to like the cremations and stuff, the one person that told me information basically said that it sort of just came out of left. And basically they were like just advised it would probably be best to just have everyone cremated. Is basically how it was told to me. So it's already been suspicious, like, from the beginning. Like, why do they all need to be cremated? It's not about a money situation, literally at all. And if you can have a full-on funeral and a full-on viewing, like, why are we now cremating them? That makes it more difficult to do drug testing and other things later on whenever they're cremated. So who recommended that? Because it was, like, highly recommended that they all just do it. And for why? For why? That's always been, like, real screwed up.
To Kaylee could have basically seemed like he was trying to quiet her. He was trying to silence her. Which, if he's searching for gag, choke, then in that murder scene, he had drunk girls and choke. He literally, so for a prosecutor to say that they're.
So that's him still trying to, like, hold on to that stuff because of what Dateline shows. I'll look over here for a minute. The ones that have looked past the documents that we're at right now on the channel, do they have more evidence of other, like, creepy stuff that he looked at? Like, when it comes to search history? Because I don't want to speak completely out of turn if there's stuff out there, but I haven't gone past what we've gone through here on this channel. So I don't know if they have more information. No, they don't. So he's basically, and I look, I really wanted to give Megan Kelly the benefit of the doubt. All right. I was taking a bath right before getting on here and just like looking through YouTube. And I'm like, holy crap, she has a video about questioning the cops in the case. So I open it and I'm like, I might actually have like a reaction video to do where I can say she's finally asking the right question. She's finally paying attention. Nah. The second that it gets to where she's showing how they're admitting that there's no connection, that they can't prove who the target was, what the target was, they have no answers. She instantly is like, well, why can't it be the Mad Greek? And why can't the target be Maddie? And I'm like, girl, you went the wrong direction that I was hoping that you would go. You went stupid. Instead of asking questions and being like, so what happened to the theories? You're mad that it's not what you've been coming out and pushing. But you've been coming out and pushing that bullshit because you keep wanting to talk to Howard. And Howard's a freaking moron. Him, James Patterson, they all have nothing. They have nothing is correct in anything that they've written. And that's per the cops' own mouths. No one can sit here and say that we are making this up. Brett Payne and the other investigator stood there and said, nothing, 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 and nothing. No one can say that that's a lie. It's right there. So how did we get to this? And how long is it going to take before people stop doing this, before they stop bringing in things into this that are not true, just to hold on to the narrative? Because that's not going to fix anything. I don't see how people can be blind to what's happening here.
There's no sexual motivation at all. We know there's no assault, okay? We know this person was interrupted, literally interrupted. So who knows what his intentions were, but for you to go and say that it wasn't motivated, really,
you can't, for them to say that it wasn't motivated that way means that there was nothing in his search history. Actually, it means there was nothing that they could find in his mental testing that they did and anything that they did that could prove that. He's not Elliot Rogers. He's not all these things that everyone has tried to make him out to, because the proof is there that it's not. I mean, even Bill Thompson, whenever they talked about all of the psychological testing and stuff, not a psychopath. Nothing was there. They can't say that he was crazy and put him in a loony bin instead of a jail. They can't because he's not crazy. So then what is he? Because y'all tried to say like he was this like crazy psychopath that did all these things because he's a psychopath. But apparently he's not a psychopath. So now what? That's their own mouths. That's them. Not me. That's them.
I insulted so many people that my phone started ringing, saying, I can't stand here. I can't stand here and let this prosecutor basically, he's protecting the university at the cost of everyone.
See, why? Why would you say that? If you really believe that Bryan Kohberger, who has shit nothing at all to do with the U of I, is the guy, then why are you sitting here saying that even after we are done with sentencing, that Bill Thompson is still protecting the university? Why are you saying that?
All you guys, all you victims. He's just basically going to protect that university. You know, Payne works for the university now, right?
See how he just said that? Let me slow it down because I forgot that I actually like recorded this kind of like fast. He just said, Payne works for the university. You know, Payne works for the university now, right? I've been saying that for a while. I posted the email.
University now, right?
Go back.
University at the cost of everyone, of all you guys, all you victims. He's just basically going to protect that university. You know, Payne works for the university now, right?
And she cuts it. Why'd you cut it, Ashley? Why did you cut it, Ashley? What did you remove, Ashley? What did you remove, Ashley? Here's the emails. This was sent out to the families. This is how it works. Prosecutor writes an email, sends it over to the victim's advocate. The victim's advocate forwards it over to the family member, and they don't say shit else. They're literally an overpaid middleman, okay? This was written on Monday, April 28th at 11:02 in the morning, whatever time in Latell County, all right? Good afternoon, which it's the freaking morning. We are writing to inform you that Corporal Brett Payne is leaving the Moscow Police Department and taking a non-law enforcement position at the University of Idaho. As you know, Corporal Payne is one of the state's advisory witnesses for trial, i.e., assists the state throughout the trial. Fortunately, Corporal Payne has made arrangements with the university to still be present for the entirety of the trial as originally planned. Our office is taking steps to deputize him as a prosecutor's investigator so he can maintain his law enforcement status through trial. Now let's read this next part, okay? We are very appreciative to Corporal Payne for staying committed to this case and seeing it through to the finish line. Ready? Y'all probably remember this because most of y'all were here whenever I read this right after the plea hearing on the 2nd. This information is not public, and we appreciate your efforts to not publicize this. They did not want anyone to know that he was no longer going to be working for the police department whenever he was going to be telling the IGG they can sleep with at night bullshit narrative on the stand during trial. And now with Kohberger in jail, Goncalves still believes that Thompson is protecting the university. He says something else here in a second, too.
Real quickly, the notes that we got with all these details, are these just Moscow police notes, but no FBI notes?
She's so stupid. That's exactly what it is.
There's nothing about the FBI.
It's literally the Moscow Police Department website. They literally say in the press release, and he said at the conference, this is only our documentation. For all of the other agencies, you can use these case numbers and get the information via FOIA. She's an idiot. I'm sorry, but come on. It's the same issue I had whenever they were going around and all of these idiot media people were like, oh my God, now that the gag order is lifted, that means you can finally talk to us. No, they were never under the gag order. They were on that other side of the wall, just like everyone else. Even Brian Enton, whenever he was talking to Olivia, was like so shocked that they didn't know anything else. So the whole time y'all just pretended to be paying attention? Because it was all of them, like 17 different networks. It's just amazing. It's just amazing.
That they're privy to. The FBI had a separate investigation that they did not share with them. And the Pennsylvania, they did work with the Pennsylvania. They said more than the FBI.
Yeah.
But they were clear to say that their investigation could have found a lot of things that we are not privy to.
Yeah.
But you are privy to that. You just have to file it. The only people that are obligated to give you information is Idaho. When it comes to the feds, when it comes to Pennsylvania, you have a lawyer, Steve. He knows how to do all this stuff. Like in the book, you told them the reason why you needed Shannon was because you didn't know how to do all these things and fill out all these forms and whatnot. So if Moscow's only responsible for giving you Moscow's information, then go get it. You are privy to it because it's not their case. There's nothing holding it. So go do what everyone else is supposed to do instead of like this. Because yeah, you are.
So, and those images in the Dateline look like somebody taking a picture of his phone directly.
Well,
but that's probably not true, Steve, Mr. IT, with a son in productions. Like, don't you know how that works? It's just a phone with a fake texting app made to look like it's legitimate. Dateline producers don't have the physical evidence that would be like locked up in an evidence room somewhere that would be his real phone.
I can't wait for those to get unsealed. I did want to ask you a quick question, though, because I'm still mystified. Yesterday in the press conference, the police said there's only one murder weapon, and it's the K-bar knife, but then there are blunt force injuries. And I know that you mentioned there's a second weapon. What did they say to you? Because in the press conference, they said, ask the families. What did they say to you about a second weapon?
I don't think that weapon murdered her. And that's the kind of games that these people are playing. It's protect the university, protect this.
Protect the university protect the what, Steve? The players? The university players? Like, you mean like the frat athletes? It's the first thing that I thought of. Let's listen to that again. Plus, it's going to replay slow.
These people are playing. It's protect the university, protect this stuff. It's protect the university, it's protect the university, protect this stuff.
Protect the university. The athletes, Steve, the frat athletes, you can come out and tell us. You can come out and tell us what you know, what you're questioning.
He punched her face. He knocked her teeth out. That didn't kill her. So they're playing those kind of games with you guys.
Did he knock her teeth out?
Yeah, her teeth were busted out.
Oh my God.
That's horrible. I knew that like she was disfigured like really, really bad and she had a bunch of like fractures and stuff in her face, but I didn't know like her teeth were knocked out.
God.
Yeah, so maybe that didn't murder her. So technically it wasn't a murder weapon.
Right.
But come on. I mean, why are you protecting a monster?
And
why is Idaho protecting the monster?
The blunt injuries that they described in the autopsy, that we think that is him with his hands, literally.
No. I think there's another weapon.
You do?
Yeah, it's rounded with stripes in it, is how it was described to us.
Rounded with stripes?
So basically what he's saying is that, okay, this is now him describing the wounds he's claiming was on her mouth a different way than he originally did. So the other day on the other interview, he said it was more like this, like someone had put their hand in her mouth and pressed real hard to keep her quiet. And I said, well, wouldn't she have like bitten down? Like I would have bit a whole, like that chunk would have been gone, broski. I would have been like, no. So then he's saying it's more like that. So I looked at the K-bar to see, because again, the defense had a piece of paper that was filed that said that they knew that there was a second weapon used on Kaylee. And I said, this is going to be like a weapons expert that's going to know the difference between a whole nother weapon and the opposite side or another portion of the same weapon being used. That's why they're experts. So if that expert is still saying there was a second weapon because of whatever was used to make the blunt force injuries, I'm almost just wondering if it was maybe something that was just picked up randomly in a room. and used? Or could it be like just the sheer force of her body, maybe being, and as graphic as it is, maybe as just the blunt force of being pushed like into the wall? You know what I mean? Like if he like was putting her, or somebody was putting her head into the wall constantly to like get her to stop. Maybe that would be like the blunt force, and it wouldn't really be a second weapon. But then again, we have an expert claiming that it was an actual weapon. I don't think they would be saying that if it was just like someone's head constantly being like hit into a wall. So I'm guessing that there's like indentions or something like that too, because that's something else that they had said at one point, was that there was like knuckle indentions in like her skull at certain portions. So then some people were questioning, okay, what about brass knuckles being used? But there being an indention with the brass knuckle is still something different than blunt force trauma. So I don't know. Whatever he mentions here, that it was like rounded with stripes. Some people I know are saying like something about a golf club, which is possible. But I also just thought like maybe like the way that it was just like indented right here, it would have shown that whatever was up against her mouth had a curve to it, but then it like just left like the indentions, or maybe like a blood bruise of the striping on her mouth. That's basically that's where I was thinking. But that would to me mean that like someone's hand would have had to have been like on the blade. Either on the blade pushing it into her mouth, or like having their hand like on the opposite side of the handle itself and like pushing down. I don't know. That's an odd positioning. I don't know how much you could do like that.
Yeah, it was a rounded object that had stripes, so it bruised her with stripes around her mouth. So she started making noises, screaming. She woke up. They said she woke up.
Steve, so now you know about the screaming. Like, you've known forever, okay? I've told y'all guys the story forever. He's known forever that Dylan was lying to him about that. But why? We're seeing, like, in the documents, the shift in the lie. I don't know how they're not asking more questions about them girls.
But the blood pooled in a certain way to show that she was sitting up, and he kept punching her in her face and stabbing her in the top of her head.
Jesus Christ, what an animal.
Yeah, this is who they protect. And it's not the officers. It's not the investigators. It's Thompson. Thompson cares more about the university than he cares about the victims.
He keeps going back to Thompson cares about the university. Kohberger has shit to do with the university. What does that have to do with this? He has to know specifics here. He has to know specifics. Why are you sitting at the corner club? I understand that that's like where you, like she last was with Maddie. Okay, like I get like the sentimental thing to it. But are you sitting there hoping that it's like Thirsty Thursday and some college kids are going to come up and start saying stuff to you? Because this was last night. What university players? And like, you have to really think about this, okay? The very last like portion of Scott Green's book, I'm probably going to, no, I'm not buying it. Somebody's going to have to have it. I just want a picture of the damn page, or maybe it's out there somewhere because I've read like this piece before. They basically, he blames idiot over here, Mr. Clean's freaking incompetence and inability, because he's such a rookie basically at being a lead detective, on the reason why the university felt the need to step in. But then they hire this person that you felt was insufficient. You now hire them. Even after everything that they did in this case didn't lead to anything, because they were going a completely different direction, and then the feds called and they went squirrel. This is such insanity.
Bill Thompson, the prosecutor.
Yeah, Bill Thompson cares way more about you. And now this has gotten so bad in America that people have contacted us and said, there's laws in other states that says that if you are a campus police, you cannot investigate murders.
And you know what? I am really pissed about that too, Fiat, because he should have said that in the courtroom. I even said, I was like, why didn't Steve stand up? Like, as mad as Steve was, where he got up and he turned that podium and he just went off as best he could. I was really hoping he was going to turn and say something to Thompson. So when Steve Jr. went outside and said all that stuff, like, yeah, bravo. But why did you choose not to say that in the courtroom? Was it because you were embarrassed from the other statements? Because that one would have gotten the right kind of applause. I don't know why he chose not to. It was well done.
Because we've seen historically that you're so compromised by this relationship with the university that you...
See? How many times is he going to mention the university? I really wish he would just stop this dancing.
Will not tell the truth. It's happened because there was some rape case where there was, I don't want to make little of it, but there were so many different rape allegations that they said, why didn't you guys do anything? And they're like, well, my employer didn't really want me to. And they're like, your employer.
Now, I'm probably going to have to go in and mute those once this is over, because I forgot that was in there. I thought I muted those because, they can get away with shit like that, but we can't. It'll get flagged. Anyway, in the documents we went through last night, there is a portion where the university is going back and trying to get information for an R case. And we're like, why is this in here? Why is this in here? Is the person that they think is responsible for this like somebody that they thought was like a lead? Like, what is this for? And now he's over here mentioning this kind of thing. And he's right. The way that they try to like make these relationships, that's not cute. They have these 22-year-old campus cops hanging out with these 20-something-year-old college students. Yeah, I mean, that's probably not smart. So I'm sure that there's like a lot of that. I know that in Kerrville alone, the kind of bullshit that school district covers up when it comes to administration, doing stuff with children is disgusting. So it really wouldn't shock me the kind of crap that the university really wants to just like under the rug. I mean, I'm sure that they've had a lot of practice with it. Nothing feels right. None of this feels right.
Like, I'm a campus cop. We don't want crime to be in the news, So there's literally laws that I can show you what they shared with me that says if you're a campus cop, you have to go get a state police to verify and do the investigation, because clearly we have a problem when the university is employing you on campus. That creates a relationship where you're just like this town. This town goes from like 8,000 to 10,000 people when they're not enrolled, all the way up to 60,000 people.
See, so basically all I'm hearing is that it had to be somebody that wasn't a part of the university, because the university was going to be scared to lose everyone in that town, which is pretty much what we've always thought. So again, how are we going to sit here and pretend like this is the right way that this is supposed to go when there's still so many questions? They can't say how they got to him. They can't actually say, like, the IGG, I don't give a shit about. That's not you doing an investigation. That's not how it works. You did not actually get to anything yourself. Y'all are taking the accolades for something that y'all didn't have any hand in. Y'all were told what to do every step of the way, down to the narrative to be told. And that's what really like threw me all the way off. This is what I was telling Ariel last night. I was like, how they pulled all the crap with the IGG and made it to where they couldn't use it in court. It was a huge issue, the biggest fight the entire time. And then it was taken out and they were told, both of y'all come up with a lie together that Payne can say on the stand, and that'll be how we address this, and it'll just like go away. And then the second that the sentencing happening, they came out and thanked the way that like IGG works and DNA. And I'm like, excuse me? You literally didn't even want it talked about. You wanted everything about it excluded from everything. And now you're going to come out and be like, oh, this is the reason why we're awesome. What? This whole thing is a show. It's a show.
They live this life cycle of when the university's running and everything's good, we're killing it. All the restaurants are full, all things are coming up. But when everyone goes home for summer, that's a reminder that this is what this town would be without the university. So nobody wants to sit there and like fight that this conflict of interest is there. So I think the conflict of interest was
no, Ashley, that's the problem. You're so bought and have no idea how to like do anything on your own, you're not understanding what he's telling you. You sit there and you're just like, you're recording this so that you can get your clicks and your money, but you're not hearing what the hell he's saying. You obviously haven't heard shit anything has been being talked about for the past 3 years with the kinds of questions that you ask. Like, she's probably sitting here thinking about her next shopping trip in her head. She's not paying attention to a damn thing that he's saying. She's not going to touch the university. She's not going to ask questions about what's being covered up and why we have no answers. She doesn't care.
Hey, we just need this case to go away.
Are you,
Very bad.
let me ask you, are you going to file a wrongful death suit against anyone?
Last thing I want to be is back in court, to be honest.
I hear you.
My family doesn't want to be back in court. That's not my motivation. I doubt it. The only way I would go that way is if somebody reached out and was just like, I'll do all the heavy lifting, Steve. And I'm going to need you at the very end. And that's it.
So he wants something to happen with all of the bullshit, but he doesn't want to actually do anything about it himself. But he's not going to come out and be honest about what's going on. He's just going to like give a little bit of hints here and there and then just expect somebody to do what? See how confusing these people are?
Because I'm just exhausted with it. I'd like to kick the University of Idaho in the ass a little bit. Tell them, just like I told Bryan, that this is the wrong family. We're not going to take this shit and be stepping on children.
So the university is the one stepping on you? The university, again, Steve, the university doesn't have shit to do with Bryan Kohberger. He was on a student or a TA at the University of Idaho. So why do you keep on bringing up the university? When are you ever going to come out and be honest about what's happening?
Don't do it in my kid's name. Don't be yelling Kaylee's name out there. If it was my way, I'd never have that piece of shit prosecutor ever say Kaylee's name again. And nothing makes me madder than him saying Kaylee's name.
Well, I hear you.
No, you
I
don't.
completely understand. And
She's so stupid.
My heart absolutely breaks for you and for Christy and the kids.
See, she just wants to say the words that's going to get her the ratings. My heart just breaks for you. You're not listening to him. You're not hearing a word. Not a word.
In everything you've gone through. I hope you're going to get home soon. Are you headed home?
See, she doesn't give a shit what he's saying.
Yeah. We just stopped by here because we've never been in this building ever. And there was
He's useless.
We just wanted to be here to just see where Kaylee and Maddie were at that very last part of it. And we're here to see it.
This is the Corner Club bar?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Are you okay?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just more motivated again, which is, I want to be done. I definitely want to be done, but gosh.
I'm more motivated again, but I want to be done. I'm motivated to do more. The university is covering shit up still, but I don't want to do anything myself. I want somebody to hear me complaining and do it for me, but I don't want to tell you exactly what's going on. Hello. I know he knows there's millions of people across the world asking questions, even more so now that they came out after all this and still said, no, we have no answers. I have no idea. Nope, no clue. Can't answer that either. We don't know. This is the most frustrating part about all of this.
To hear this shit at the very end and then give it to the media, not the families. It's just insulting. And I mean, I have legislators that I'm working with and they'll change laws.
But what are you talking about? We haven't heard anything about any sort of laws being changed. I haven't personally seen anything that they've been posting about laws that they're trying to pass or do or anything like that. There's a name for stuff. Like when you're actually working with legislatures, like there's documentation. There's meetings. Like we see it in Megan Boss's case. Her mom, Jennifer's gone all the way up to the White House when it came to her daughter's case. We see it with Shanquella Robinson's case. Okay, that's not what's happening here. What laws?
So hollow to the fact that why do we have prosecutors that are just this rude, this disgusting? They want the whole freaking...
See, why did you just edit that? What did he say?
Accountability, but they played us against each other. They didn't let each parent know what the other one. Karen literally told me if I knew that she was unrecognizable, I wouldn't have agreed to it. And I said, well, why do you think they didn't want you to know?
I don't believe that. He basically just said that Maddie's mom told him that if she would have known about how Kaylee's face was completely unrecognizable, she wouldn't have agreed to whatever. You're trying to sit here and tell me that y'all didn't discuss things together? Y'all's kids have been friends for all these years, and you literally took control of Maddie's narrative and Maddie's story, and you're going to sit here and make me believe that y'all didn't discuss these things? Just because they might have not done, you know, the law breaking when it comes to the medical privacy that you're like expecting them to do when it comes to like telling everybody else about everybody else's kids' injuries, you're trying to make me believe that y'all didn't discuss this? I'm pretty positive Kaylee being unrecognizable might have been a big, like, domino fall for the reason why the rest of them ended up being cremated. Honestly. Because there was a lot of other things in play there, but I also still go back to toxicology reasons. Because at first, I really was like, Steve was just really kind of like controlling everything, but then it got to like, the university was really in more control. I just know what I was told is that they weren't really given a reason. They were just told it's strongly recommended to do the cremation. Strongly recommended was the wording. I don't believe for 1 second that they didn't sit down and discuss these things together at some point for as close as they were supposed to have been. I really just don't believe that.
We all got played.
I'm so sorry, Steve. I'm so sorry.
Well,
And I'm mostly
got played
just
part.
in shock that you did not receive all of these investigative documents before everybody else did. I'm so sorry.
You could tell people, dude, I want pressure on them, and eventually I want another family not to have to deal with this. And yeah, they're gonna learn. You wanna don't use my daughter's name anymore. Stop saying her name if you're gonna freaking treat me like you hate the media, but you treat the media the same as the victims. It's like, why do you hate the media? Because the media holds you accountable.
No, see, and that's also bullshit. For one, the media didn't get anything. As far as I know, everyone got the documents whenever we were told, hey, the website's up. We were told the family was going to get stuff before they did any of that. And that's what didn't happen. They didn't hand the media a bunch of different things of what we see on the website. Everyone got access at the same time. So I understand where he is like, we should have seen stuff before it was released. Okay, that was a promise. They broke that promise. That's fine. But when the hell has the media ever held anyone accountable? Even now, Little Miss Media is not even listening to a damn thing that he has to say with the questions that he has. She's just letting her microphone record everything so she can make money off the conversation. She is not paying attention. She doesn't care. So please, Steve, explain to me how the media is going to hold the university accountable. Because I've yet to see it.
You guys are you're pathetic. You're so pathetic.
Oh gosh. Well, listen, can you please give Christy a big hug for me?
Just to that. Oh gosh. She does not give a damn. She doesn't give a damn. Okay. Fake ass bullshit. It's really just gross. It's honestly disgusting. We're going to get on to the documents now. Let me go ahead and get this open. Let's see, which one is this? Like, I honestly just can't believe the dumb is what I'll call it. I'll call it the dumb. She doesn't listen to a damn thing he's saying. Like, I hope that he got home and he watched that and he pays attention to all the times that she just, like, didn't care. Zoned out while he just talked. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. Let me see. Okay, we're starting with 101. Okay, it looks like this first one doesn't need any redactions. Let me go ahead and put this back up now. I don't know how many we're going to go through. I have 101 through 125, but like I said, if we end up going through more of them, then we go through more of them. Honestly, I might get off of here like around 9:30 or so. And if I can't sleep, I might jump back on. We shall see what I do. I'm trying to get this to where y'all can see it better. You know what also was like absolutely insane? I just checked like on the other side, like on my YouTube thing, and I post the email, on my community tab about how Payne is no longer working for the university. That was written by the prosecution. And me posting that email is pushing a conspiracy. Me posting a fact, me posting something that was literally written by the prosecution and sent to the families is pushing a conspiracy. Like, I really feel like these people are not loved enough because no one bought them freaking dictionaries for Christmas, like literally ever. Absolutely just ignorant. Okay, let's save this. Okay. Alrighty, so this is Brett Payne. This is on 1/6 of 23. And again, so far we've only seen like one warrant description. Why do I have this on? I am not listening to anything. We've only seen one warrant description for Bryan Kohberger, but it didn't have any information on it. Now, this is evidence coming in. And it just says that it's coming in from 1122 King Road, but it doesn't say like from whose room. It's a nightstand, a pink comforter, a blue blanket, pillows, mattress, bed frame, pillows, sheet, nightstand, and pillows. Now, we did see like a full-on evidence list in the very beginning of this that had a bunch of that same stuff on there. So I guess that was just like the full one. And then we're going to have like smaller ones throughout it. Okay. This one is this is number 102. This one is from Danny Vargas, written 1/10/23. Okay, release of Dylan Mortonson's personal items. Now, the last bit of document, she came in and got like her lawyer came in and got her passport and like a jacket and these certain shoes and like a purse that she wanted and was going to be getting the rest of it later. On January 4th, 2023, at approximately 10:30 hours, I released the remainder of Dylan Mortonson's personal property to blank LR. R signed for the items, signed release attached electronically to the case file. On January 5th, 2023, I learned from Bill Thompson per the recent signed court order to hold all evidence. Dylan's items fell under the order. Thompson stated his office would contact Dylan Mortonson and make arrangements to have Dylan's items returned. Well, isn't that interesting? So they already have Kohberger in custody. I don't remember the date that he got back to Idaho. But on the 5th is whenever he found out that they were not supposed to be returning anything to the people and they wanted it held longer. That's wild. I wonder for why. On January 6, 2023, Sergeant Blaker traveled to Boise, Idaho and picked up Dylan's personal belongings from LR and transported them back to MPD. What were they looking for? How interesting. On January 9th, 2023, I assisted Sergeant Blaker with unloading Dylan's items from his vehicle back into MPD secured storage garage at the City of Moscow shop. Well, now. Okay. Okay, this one is again from Danny Vargas. Oh, now we have an interview with Bryan Kohberger's neighbor. So the second one that we get with his name finally on it is all the way on 1/10 of 23. It took that long to go and talk to the neighbors. Jesus. Okay. Okay, let's read. Interview with Bryan Kohberger's neighbor, and the initials is FA and then AA. On December 30th, 2022 at approximately 06 30 hours, so 6:30 in the morning, I stood by while a search warrant was served at blank, the residence of Bryan Kohberger. While on scene, one of the neighbors, AA, who lived in the same building, stated her husband returned home and he might have additional information to add regarding Bryan. A had been interviewed earlier in the day by several FBI agents prior to F returning home. Detective Mallory and I met with A and FA in their apartment. I think I remember hearing about this. I recorded the conversation with my phone and informed F and A I would be recording our conversation, which they were fine with. A said she had been speaking with F about the questions she was asked, one question being if she had ever seen Bryan with anyone else. F told me they did remember a time when they returned home and said they saw Bryan sitting on the stairs leading up to his apartment next to a male. F and A described the male as having light brown skin, a sleeve tattoo on his left arm, wearing a sleeveless shirt and shorts. F said the male was riding a dark color, blue or black Harley type motorcycle. F said the motorcycle was not a sport bike and was very loud. F said he and A both noticed Bryan and the male talking, but said as they got closer, both Bryan and the male stopped talking and looked at them. A said Bryan acknowledged them and asked how it was going. A said it seemed as if Bryan was acting overly nice. Because he asked how it was, like, hey, what's up? How's it going? That's pretty normal. Okay. A and F said when they walked away to their apartment, Bryan and the male were still silent and did not continue their conversation. Yeah, because they don't need you eavesdropping. Like, this is normal behavior. Okay, I used to live in an apartment complex, and if I was outside on the phone and the neighbors upstairs got home, I would be quiet. I would be like, hey, how's it going? Hey, what's up? As they walked up the stairs next to me, and I wouldn't continue my conversation until they were inside with their door shut. This is normal behavior. Okay. F said he saw the male get up and heard the motorcycle start, but did not see him drive off. F and A said this was the only time they ever saw this person and or saw or heard the motorcycle. F and A said Bryan seemed like a quiet person, and they remembered meeting Bryan's dad when Bryan moved in. F said Bryan's dad was very talkative. F and A said Bryan's car was always clean and neat, even on rainy days. A said Bryan would often park his car right in front of their bedroom window, and they would notice the headlights when he came and went. F and A did not notice when and if Bryan changed the plates on his vehicle. F looked through his phone and thought on the night of the murders, he probably went to bed around midnight. F did not remember seeing lights from Bryan's car or knowing if Bryan was home or not. This light is blinding my eyeballs. F mentioned on another occasion seeing Bryan return home around 1 o'clock or 0100 hours and said he was wearing dark clothing, had on a dark colored backpack, and when they said hi to him, he seemed pretty short with them. Y'all aren't friends. He doesn't need to have a conversation with you just because you say hi in the middle of the night. F did not remember what day this occurred, but said it was not on the night of the murders. A said she worked late hours often and would also see Bryan returning home around the same time she would, around 0102 hours. We thanked F and A for their time and told them to contact us if they remembered anything else. Our conversation with F and A was recorded and is booked. Yeah, that sounds normal. That sounds normal. Okay. Okay. Now this is one again from Brett Payne. Interview with MM. Is this the DoorDasher finally? Freaking finally. Holy shit. I've been waiting to get to this one. Okay. Freaking finally, bro. Okay. Here we go. Brett Payne. Oh, wow. I wonder how that went. Because we all know the body cam where she's like, I'm friends with Bill Thompson. Whenever Brett Payne pulled her over while she was door dashing, right? Okay. On November 23rd, 2022, at approximately 20:39 hours, Molly McMichael's Molly came to the police department to be interviewed about her presence in the area of 1122 King Road during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. Molly was identified as being in the area through records obtained from DoorDash via a search warrant and was confirmed as being in the area based off of a Google geofence warrant, which was obtained as a result of the investigation. I was accompanied by FBI Special Agent Alex Skelton during this interview. Now, remember the way that the PCA, the one that came out, read, it was like almost like the DoorDasher like came forward themselves later with the way that it was sort of like told to us. Oh, maybe it wasn't the way in the PCA, but like one of the press conferences. It was just odd the way that it was put. So this is the 23rd. So it's been 10 days. They had to get a geofence warrant before they even like call this person in. Okay. Molly told me she worked for 12 to 18 hours on the night of November 12th to the 13th and received 3 orders in the King Road, Queen Road area. 2 of the orders were at the Blake Queen Road apartment complex, which is immediately to the east of 1122 King Road. What times? What times? Because her car was obviously seen coming in and out a bunch. If you're coming in and out that many times. Molly said the delivery at 1122 King Road was her final order for the evening. Molly said she could not find the 1122 King Road address as the address number was hidden by the porch light, which caused her to remain in the area for approximately 15 minutes. Girl. No. Molly also stated her Google Maps told her to go to the parking lot immediately behind 1122 King Road. Now, that part right there is true. Whenever you look at the directions before they screwed up the maps, it would take you like that way. And I'd actually heard from people that talked to other people that lived in that area that whenever they would put it in their maps to like actually use the directions, it would do the same thing. But you can see the 1122. And if you're like using DoorDash, like you can contact the person who made the order. So what are you waiting 15 minutes for? I don't believe you. Something's weird. Molly stated she initially parked in the front of 1122 King Road and could see a female in the top left window, the 3rd story bathroom. So not Xana, because that would be the 2nd floor. This is the 3rd story. Molly said she saw the same female a couple more times in the same window, and she would duck down when Molly looked at her. So at 3:59, either Maddie or Kaylee is in the bathroom looking out the window and ducking down every time this chick looked up at the window. Okay. Molly then said she drove to the back parking lot behind 1122 King Road and parked. She stated she could see the back courtyard area behind the house and notice all of the lights were on. Molly stated her map told her to walk into the back of the house, but she did not feel comfortable doing so because there was no path. Molly said she started to walk down the road, which runs north-south immediately to the east of the residence. Molly stated a tan sedan drove next to her while she was walking. Tan? Kohberger's car is freaking white. So how does Plunder feel now that she came out here pushing this bullshit narrative about, oh my God, I parked right next to Bryan and I saw his car and he looked right in my eyeballs. Tan car? Girl. Molly said there was only one male driver and noticed he did not look at me. What happened? What? She said he looked completely zoned and just drove by her. Because he didn't look at you? Again, tan car though. Tan car. Molly later stated the driver was white with blonde or red spiky hair. Red spiky hair? Kohberger couldn't spike his hair if he tried to. It's curly. And it's definitely not blonde or red. So who is this in the tan car? Was this David? Is this David B? No, his hair is hella curly too. And it's a little bit too dark to be red blonde. Who is this? Jesus Christ. Tan car and a blonde red guy. A ginger in a tan car? Molly also noticed the dome light in the car was on when it went by and later told me the male was wearing a light-colored collared shirt. Molly stated she walked back up to the car and drove back to the front of King Road, at which point she saw the address numbers. Okay, so you're trying to tell me that you went to the parking lot. Okay, hold up. Hold the frack up, bro. So you parked in front of the house where you were supposed to deliver the food for 15 minutes, but did not deliver the food because you couldn't tell it was the right house. Then you drove to the back parking lot, got out your car, and took the food with you to walk down the street, saw someone in a tan car that was like some sort of ginger in a white collared shirt. Then you turned around, got back in your car, and then you drove down, and then you delivered the food? What? What? You parked right in front of it. And it's talking about how you are seeing a female dodging from the windows for 15 minutes. So you can see someone in the window, popping in and out of the window, but you can't see it says 1122 above that door. I'm sorry. This is the most ignorant crap I think I have ever read. Only a crackhead, bro. I don't even care. This is stupid. This is dumb. Molly stated she walked back up to her car and drove back to the front of 1122 King Road, at which point she saw the address numbers. Molly said she placed the order at the front door, took a picture, and then left at approximately 4 o'clock. During the time Molly was in the area of the King Road residence, the white Elantra can be seen. No, it can't, because she said it was a tan car. The white Elantra can be seen via the blank King Road camera driving back and forth on Willenta Drive and then enter the King Road Queen Road loop at approximately 0356 hours. That car could be tan. It might not even be the damn green car. It might be a tan car. They cannot sit here and say she saw a tan car and then be like, oh, but it was white and it was the Elantra. I'm sorry? No. At the point Molly pulled into the front parking lot before she dropped the order off, the white Elantra pulled in behind Molly's vehicle, a gray Subaru Forester, and then exited the King Road at approximately 0358 hours. Molly did not mention seeing the white Elantra behind her at any time. So how are you going to sit here and tell us that you have this on camera? You're not showing it. You haven't produced it. And on the same time that you're trying to tell us that this car actually did park behind her, that she just didn't notice. Because she's not being mentioned. What kind of game is this exactly? Don't purchase it. Return it if you bought it. Make sure you keep your receipt. This is pathetic. I continued to question Molly about her time near the residence. She told me she walked down Queen Road at one point with her flashlight out. Molly can be seen doing so on the footage from blank King Road. Oh, yeah? Show us. Molly also continued to tell me the female she saw in the upstairs bathroom window would duck down when Molly looked at her. Molly described her as having long brown hair. I'm sorry, but how can you tell that in a shadow? A blonde would look like they had brown hair in a shadow silhouette, so you can't say that either. Molly stated she could not identify the girl as one of the victims. This is stupid. Approximately 30 minutes into the interview, S.A. Skelton questioned Molly's take part in the cognitive interview. Requested Molly take part in a cognitive interview. Molly agreed and S.A. Skelton began the cognitive interview. During this interview, Molly confirmed much of the information she already told us. Molly was able to remember she had her dog with her during one of her walks in the area, but did not clarify what. You had your dog with you, with people's food in the car. Now you're trying to say that you got out and you walked your dog while you were looking for the house? Is that what I'm reading? Molly was able to remember she had her dog with her during one of her walks in the area, but did not clarify much more in the way of details of the evening. What? We thanked Molly for her cooperation, offered any support she may need, and concluded our interview. Subsequent investigation of video footage and cellular data showed the tan sedan Molly saw was likely a light-colored SUV, which left the area. Moreover, it does not appear Molly saw the white Elantra at any point during her time at the residence. You literally right up here try to say that you have some sort of proof that that car parked behind her. Now you're saying it was probably actually this SUV. Y'all don't have a damn clue, bro. I gotta sneeze. I'm allergic to the bullshit. Hold on. Whew. Okay. This is stupid. This is pathetically stupid. You have your dog with you, delivering food. You parked in front of the house that you were supposed to deliver the food to for 15 minutes, watching people in and out of their windows like a perv for 15 minutes. Not realizing that's the house that you need to deliver the food to. So you've apparently gone all the way to like Pullman to get this food, right? Because that's like the only Jack in the Box that's open as far as I can tell. That's what everyone keeps claiming, that it would have come from the Pullman Jack in the Box. So you've driven all the way over to another town. Now you're going to sit for another 15 minutes. Girl, you have to give me back every dollar for my food being cold because you want to be ignorant, for one. You're going to park in front of my house and tell me you don't know it's my house. Then you're going to park behind me somewhere and then take your dog on a damn walk down to like my house, but then turn around and then get back in your car and then drive back down to my house again. I'm sorry. This is the stupidest shit. Yeah. What the frick is this? Unbelievable. This is the stupidest shit I think I've ever read in my life. Oh, man. Okay. Now let's go to this one. I can hear my kid. I need to go. Hold on. Let me go tell him to shut the door. The dogs must have opened it. Hold on. This is the wildest boo-boo. I'm telling you now. This is the wildest shit. This is wild as hell. I don't even know what to think right now. Besides, how the hell can we seriously fall for this? How is there like more people believing this bullshit? I don't even understand, bro. I really just don't. Okay. That was 104. That's what I wanted to write down. And again, remember, in the documents that we were looking at yesterday, there's a K-bar purchase in Pullman, Washington in July. And the initials that they show is MM. So I'm really curious as to if MM is the purchaser of the K-bar. Because none of her story makes sense, bro. She's full of shit. And she's like staring at girls in their windows for 15 minutes. Is no one going to say anything about that? She sat there for 15 minutes watching somebody go in and out of their bathroom window. Like a freak. Amazing. 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 Okay. Okay, we have a Kohberger phone data one. Here we go. Okay. On December, when was this written? 1/10 of 23. On December 29th, 2022, based on the above information, the Latah County Court signed an order finding probable cause for the criminal complaint charging burglary and 4 counts of murder in the first degree, all felonies. A warrant of arrest was issued for Bryan C. Kohberger. On December 29th, 2022, Bryan Kohberger was arrested at his family home, and there's an address that they blacked out, Pennsylvania. That same day, a Pennsylvania magistrate signed a search warrant for the residence, which included Bryan Kohberger's cell phone. Bryan Kohberger's cell phone was taken into evidence as part of that search warrant. Kohberger's cell phone device is currently in evidence at the FBI Philadelphia Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory, located at this long address here. The phone data was extracted by FBI SSA Jeffrey Tanzola subsequent to the warrant being served. On January 9th, 2023, I received a hard drive from SSA Tanzola, which contains a copy of the data extracted from the phone belonging to Kohberger. The data is saved on a Seagate 2 terabyte external USB drive with a serial number blank and is labeled as Philadelphia RCFL evidence. Okay, Steve, so the Philadelphia evidence came to Moscow. So what do you mean? Oh, we're not privy to it because it's from Pennsylvania. They sent everything over here because this was Idaho's investigation. So that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I applied for and was granted a warrant seeking the evidence from the hard drive provided by Pennsylvania, which contains a forensic image of Bryan Kohberger's phone, which was stored in the secured computer forensic lab at the Moscow Police Department. At 15:50 hours on January 9th, 2023, I served the warrant on the hard drive located in the forensics lab. Pursuant to the warrant, I downloaded the files to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also left a copy of the receipt and warrant with the drive, which was placed back into evidence. I began examining the data for any accounts linked to the phone and Kohberger with other electronic service providers such as Facebook, Snapchat, etc. I located the following installed applications, website history, screenshots, and usernames, passwords associated with an electronic service provider. The first one being Yik Yak is really extremely interesting to me because of everything. And I know that there's a bunch of bullshit in this book, but it's really interesting that in the book, they talk about the two college kids, the two college students that worked for the paper that were watching the Yik Yak student boards for the university talk about what they thought was going on here. So if he was on Yik Yak because TA or not, he was a student. WSU. Maybe they were able to look at each other's stuff. I don't know. But he basically would have been able to start like seeing all those discussions. Because remember, they were talking about substances and Emma Bailey and all kind of stuff. Like within hours of the news breaking. So, I don't know. Okay, so we have Yik Yak, LinkedIn, Reddit, Twitter, Tinder, Dropbox, Washington Trust Bank, PayPal, YouTube, TikTok, Amazon, Visa Prepaid, Processing, When to Meet. I guess that's a dating thingy. Activision. I don't know what that is. GroupMe, NetTeller, Hulu, Instagram, Facebook, PSECU, that's the Pennsylvania Bank, Spotify, Booking.com, Travelocity, Strava, and NordVPN. Booking.com and Travelocity make sense to me because he was also, like they had to stay at hotels and stuff when they were driving. So that's probably what he was doing with that. These electronic service providers may be storing data relevant to the investigation, but interestingly enough, we didn't see those. You'd think that we would have seen search warrants for those so they could get like an idea of everywhere that he paid to go. These electronic service providers may be storing data relevant to the investigation, which may have been deleted from the device. I will be requesting assistance from the Latell County Prosecutor's Office to apply for warrants to these companies for any data from accounts related to the following identifiers located in the phone data. And then there's Gmail to sales with an IMEI. This is something that I kind of got into an argument with somebody on Twitter about, and I don't see how people don't understand this, okay? When they said that he had like scrubbed his devices or whatever, I don't care because whatever he was doing isn't going to be erased from the company's servers. So if he's looking up crazy shit on Google, that's going to be in Google servers. If he was doing shit on Instagram and following people and sending messages and blah, 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 whatever, him scrubbing his laptop or scrubbing his phone is not going to delete the history off of the servers for the company. And that's where all these warrants come in, to go in and get their server information to see what may be being deleted and hidden and blah, 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 blah. Because now there's all these people saying, oh, they said he scrubbed his devices. That's why they can't prove a connection. All these other things. Bullshit. That doesn't do anything. That just gets it off of your computer. It cleans your system out. It doesn't get it off of Instagram servers. It doesn't take it off of Meta's servers. It's all still very much there. Somebody like him studying this would know that. So when they say that he's scrubbing his devices, is he really scrubbing his devices, or is he running antivirus and cleaning out cookies and history and shit the way that like 99% of us do? Serious question, because they haven't been able to prove anything. And that doesn't mean anything to me because, again, it wouldn't disappear from the servers. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, so now we have another interview. It looks like Brett Payne is interviewing Emily again. This is dated 1/10 of 23. Okay. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 13:49 hours, I interviewed EA at the Moscow Police Department, reference the quadruple homicide at 1122 King Road. I asked Alant what her relationship to the victims was. She told me Kernodle was her best friend and the others were all her close friends as well. After I collected her information, I asked Alant to tell me about her day on November 12th, 2022. So we already have one from her. So it'll be a pretty positive. Or was it Maisie's? No, I think we do have one from Emily. But I'm glad that we're seeing multiple so that we can compare and see like what changes. Alant stated she left the football game and then went to see her friends of hers at an apartment near hers at Taylor Avenue. So the White's apartment. I'm guessing so. Alant stated she arrived at her apartment at approximately 20:30 hours. Alant stated she, J, H, J, and L. So that would be either Josie or Jenna because there's one of each. I can't remember. For some reason, I can't remember which one of them is the one that was like at the call. I'm pretty sure it's Jenna. There's so many names. I've got so many names in my head. It's Jenna. I'm pretty sure it's Jenna. Maybe not, though. I'll have to go back and look. Okay. Hunter Johnson and then the J girl's boyfriend that knows Jack Showalter all went to sleep early in the evening on November 12th, 2022. I don't know if that's actually true because Hunter Johnson was texting Ethan and telling Ethan that she was asleep, that Emily was asleep, but that he didn't want to leave her there alone to go to the party where he was so that he was going to like get back with him whenever she woke up. Which, if you're going to bed at 10 o'clock, like, why are you expecting her to wake up in the middle of the night in the first place? I thought that conversation was a little strange. Alant stated they planned to go to the blank lodge party, but did not end up going. Alant stated she and Hunter woke up at approximately 0100 hours and then stayed up watching TV until approximately 0300 hours, at which point they went back to sleep. Alant stated she woke up at approximately, in between there, the J girl, apparently according to the book, left her phone outside in the car. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, it says that she went outside. She describes it as being like dark and kind of foggy. And then after that, whenever she comes inside is whenever Hunter apparently locks the door. That's that story. And again, like all those little details keep changing. Alant stated Mortonson called her at approximately 11:51 hours that morning and said last night around 4 a.m. she heard and saw a man and she and Bethany were locked in their room sleeping. Okay. And added she wanted Alant to come over and check the house because she was too scared. Alant also said Mortonson heard Goncalves scream and run up the stairs. Why didn't Emily say that in the freaking stuff about hearing a scream? I don't remember her saying that. A while later, Mortonson came out of her room and saw the man staring at her. Alant stated the man didn't do anything to Mortonson. Mortonson said she stayed locked in her room and heard the side door close, so she ran to Bethany's room. So now it's not, I saw someone physically walk out. It's the side door closed, but the cops are saying whenever they got there, it was open. That the back slider was open a little bit. The same way that Xana's door was open a little bit. I asked Alant if she asked Mortonson why she didn't call anyone that night. Alant stated Mortonson told her it was because she was intoxicated and didn't want to believe what was going on. Oh, please. Mortonson also told Alant the man was wearing a mask and she could only see his eyes and nose. So nothing about no bushy eyebrows? He has a big nose. You couldn't have just gone with the nose? That doesn't even make sense. Why switch it around? More stupidity. Okay. Alant stated Jay went over to the house just before her. When Alant arrived, she stated she went upstairs but was stopped by Johnson, who told Alant she didn't want to see it. Alant went back outside and officers responded. I asked Alant if anything seemed out of the ordinary from what she saw. She told me there was a large party at the house on Friday. Instead of going to the formal, they had that stupid party, which that was interesting. November 11th, 2022, Alant stated the house was a mess due to that party. Alant also said she saw a knife laying on the floor at the top of the stairs when she went inside. I'm sorry? I saw a knife. She saw a knife laying on the floor at the top of the stairs when she went inside. So there was a knife laying on the ground at the top of the stairs leading up to the second floor. So is that okay? Yesterday in Payne, he was talking about how there was a black backpack. But I couldn't tell by the wording if the black backpack was on the top of the stairs, like the leading up to the second floor, and it's like technically on the second floor at the top of that stair, or if it's at the top of the stair that's leading up to the third floor. The one that Hunter grabbed was in the kitchen and he put it on top of the ping pong table. This is saying it was on the floor. So now it's saying it was later determined that Johnson grabbed this knife when he entered the house. So now they're trying to say that he grabbed the knife that was. This is confusing as shit because he said he got it out of the kitchen. It was later determined Johnson grabbed this knife when he entered the house. This is confusing right here. Alon told me she saw a knife lying on the floor. Okay, so we know that Hunter goes in. The way that they made it sound originally was that because he already knew what was being said on the phone, which doesn't make sense either because all of these other stories are the second the phone call came in, he jetted and left his girlfriend behind and just took off. He goes inside. The girls are outside covering their mouths with their hands. He goes in. They follow him. That's whenever Bethany apparently sees Xana on the floor. He tells them to go call the cops. Here comes Emily up the stairs, but she doesn't actually get on the second floor. So they make it sound as if he's grabbing a knife at first, like before he even sees Xana. But then these documents and the way that some of the other stuff has already been like put together was that he saw Xana first and then went back into the kitchen and grabbed a knife. But now they're saying he grabbed a knife that was on the ground. Alon also told me she saw a knife lying on the floor at the top of the stairs when she went inside. Alon described the knife as a steak knife. It was later determined Johnson grabbed this knife when he entered the house. He said he got it from the damn kitchen. So why would it have been something on the floor? At any point in time, it's never been said he put it anywhere on the ground. Whenever he was done with it, because he still apparently had it in his hand when the cops got there. And Nunez is telling him to put it down and go outside. So he apparently puts it on the ping pong table, which is apparently the same ping pong table that Bethany is actually hearing getting moved around with cups and stuff falling all over the place, according to the other interview. What? They're going to have to do something with that. Alon stated she remained outside after she walked out of the residence until law enforcement arrived. She also stated she then came to the Moscow Police Department to be interviewed. I asked Alon if she knew who would commit the murders. Alon stated she did not know. Alon added she and Kernodle were no longer blank sorority members. I asked her if there had been any stalking behavior or recent suspicious circumstances. She stated there had not been anything she could remember. She also stated there were no other conflicts with the other victims that she knew of. I will conclude my interview with Alon after collecting the information about her cell phone. Okay, so that means that there's like more. Where is it then? Is that the next one? The knife thing is wild. Okay, this is an interview with Hunter Chapin. Now, I know that people in yesterday's, whenever we were talking about the fact that it kept saying that Ethan had like a Ford Explorer, and we're like, but he's got the red Jeep. People were also mentioning Hunter Chapin's vehicle being over there. I question that because what we've been told is that like a frat bro and him, like he basically was like walked over to 1122 by the same guy that like woke him up to tell him that the cops were down there and like something had happened. Well, they didn't know what had happened because the story from the Amazon series where Hunter is telling what happened, Hunter Chapin, is that he was woken up. They said there was cops down there. He didn't think it was anything out of the ordinary because of all of the complaints that they constantly get. But then whenever they get over there, Hunter Johnson very strangely tells him what happened. So they're not really making it sound like he went back for his vehicle. I guess maybe he could have at some point, but I don't know why it would have been at King Road if they're saying that he walked over there and Maisie had to get a ride. See, that kind of stuff is like confusing too. Okay. So this is Hunter Chapin, and who's doing this one? Dustin Blaker. Okay. It's short as shit. Okay. On November 13th, 2022, at around 14:19 hours, I conducted an interview with Hunter Chapin at the Moscow Police Department. Hunter, one of the victims. I'm sure it says that he's like the triplet brother of Ethan. Hunter is a student at the University of Idaho and is a member of the blank fraternity. Hunter lives at the fraternity. Hunter told me he and Ethan went to a formal dinner with their sister, Maisie. Maisie is a member of the blank sorority. The formal was around 1800 hours at Hunga Dunga. After the formal was over, they went back to blank. Ethan, Xana, and Hunter were all hanging out at his apartment room at the Sigma Chi fraternity. That is something else he said, that the last time that he saw Ethan and Xana before they left was in his bedroom at the frat house. Hunter last saw Ethan and Xana at 2100 hours when he left his apartment to go up to the main lodge where the house party was at. Hunter returned at 21:15 hours and Ethan and Xana were gone. Hunter stated he went to bed at around 2200 hours. Now the series has David Barriocha saying that it was like 1:40 whenever he saw Xana and Ethan walking out of the frat house, or saw Xana walking out of the frat house, and she makes a comment on how you never come visit me anymore. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. I asked Hunter if Ethan had any issues with anyone. He told me no. I asked Hunter if he knew if Xana had any issues with anyone, and he told me no. Hunter was not able to provide me with any further information. Okay, so now we have 108. Okay, this is JL. This is one of the friends. I don't remember whether this is Jenny or Josie. I mean, Jenna or Josie. I'll get that straightened out before tomorrow. I'm seeing her face like in my head. I probably could just like open the book and do it. Okay. JL. Who exactly is, like, y'all can straighten this out because my brain is obviously just all over the place. Is this going to be Josie or Jenna? I think, isn't Jenna's last name start with an M? Or it might be not even one of them. It might be somebody completely different. Josie. Jenna's last name starts with an M. That's what I thought so. Okay, so it, see, I don't know why my brain like wants to confuse them. It is Josie. Okay, I need to like make a note of that. For some reason, I keep like confusing them. Okay. Yeah, because she's the one that said that she had to take the phone from Dylan in the Amazon series, because Dylan was the one on the phone making the 911 call that she couldn't talk, and she took the phone from Dylan. And that was confusing because all of the court records say that it's Bethany. And even the more like these newer records say that it was Bethany too. So maybe that's why it's hard for me to remember which one she is, because she's given us a different statement. So now I'm like flip-flopped because she's flip-flopped me. I bet you that's what it is. It's too many inconsistencies. Like, no wonder nobody can figure this shit out. Jesus. Okay. So this was Dustin Blaker, written up on 1/11 of 23, and it's an interview with Josie. On November 11th, 2022, at around 14:27 hours, I conducted an interview with Josie L. at the Moscow Police Department. Josie told me she lives at blank Taylor Avenue apartment. That's the number right there. These apartments are referred to as the Whites. Josie stated she went to 1122 King Road in the afternoon of 11/12/22 and was hanging out with Xana. Josie stated they all went to the Whites at around 1300 hours for different parties in the apartment complex. Ethan left to go to his sister's formal, but Josie was not sure what time that was. Josie felt she got to Xana's house at around 12:30 on 11/22/22. Josie stated she saw Xana, Ethan, I'm going to assume that's Dylan and Bethany, Kaylee, Maddie, CL, and L, and E. So maybe that's Emily. Josie told me she feels she last saw Xana and Ethan at around 1500 hours, but was not sure. Josie told me she got a text from Ethan asking for the Snapchat for CG, but she never sent it to him. Who is CG? We've seen those initials before. Josie did not know why Ethan wanted this information and stated as far as she knew, they did not have issues with each other. Who is CG? I think Christy's name starts with a K. Who is CG? Cole is Barenberger or something like that. It's a weird last name. It's a B last name. I don't know who this is. But apparently, what I'm getting with this, with her saying that she didn't know why Ethan wanted this information because as far as she knew, they didn't have issues with each other. That makes it seem as if the tone in the message of him wanting that information from her was negative. Or else why would she say, I don't know why he even wanted it. I didn't think they had problems. That tells me there was something else in those messages. Josie then told me where she had heard from others that Kaylee had seen some random guy behind the house when she took Murphy out to go pee. Josie also heard of an incident where some random guy followed Kaylee around Winco and followed her out of the store, and she thought he tried to get into her car. That's a whole separate thing. And remember, they had the Winco stuff in there and they took it out. So whatever was on there had nothing to do with what they were trying to do, apparently. Josie was not sure for sure. Josie was not sure for sure who she heard this from, but either Bethany or Dylan could tell us more. Josie told me she knows Xana and Ethan do like to use Addies when they drink, but they did not know who they got it from or if they took any on 11/12/22. Josie was not able to tell me anything else. Well, they had the blue powder and the rolled up $2 bill apparently in Xana's room from the way that it's like being described. So, okay. Interview with AW. Is this Ava? This is like Ava Woods, right? I'm pretty sure it's CG. But it's not Christy because Christy is a K. So I don't know. Okay, Dustin Blaker interviewing Ava Woods. I'm guessing this is Ava Woods. On November 13th, 2022 at around 14:41 hours, I conducted an interview on Ava Woods at the Moscow Police Department. Ava lives at blank Queen Road, which is in the area of 1122 King Road. A was working at the U of I football game and was at the game until around 20:45 hours. Ava did not have any interactions with any of the people who live at 1122 King Road. Ava saw and heard all of the emergency lights and sirens. Hold on. Okay. Ava saw and heard all the emergency lights and sirens and looked out and saw some of her friends standing outside with white blankets around them. Ava went out and brought more blankets to the people outside to try and help. Ava told me a few weeks ago on October 14th at around 0100 hours, she heard what she thought was a male walk up to her door and try to open her door. Ava stated she had her deadbolt and door were both locked. Ava told me she saw photos posted on Snapchat by Kaylee showing Kaylee and Maddie had been at the corner club and the grub truck. Ava was not able to tell me anything else about this case. Damn, so she thinks somebody tried to get into her apartment. That's scary. That's super scary. Okay, this other one is an evidence collection sheet, and it says that it's no redactions needed. It looks pretty much like the other one. $111.23. I think the other one was $110.23, or maybe it was $106. Nightstand, comforter, blue blanket, pillows, mattress, bed frame, pillows, shelf and picture, nightstand, pillows. Maybe the other one was a pink blanket. On January 6, 2023, I went back to 1122 King Road with several members of the Idaho State Police and the FBI in order to collect several pieces of evidence at the request of the defense counsel in this case. Once on scene, we collected the mattress, bed frame, nightstand, pillows, and blankets from Kernodle's room. We also collected the mattress, bed frames ×2 folding frames, nightstand, pillows, and shelf from the east wall of Mogen's room. The items were wrapped and transported separately back to the Moscow Police Department, where they were placed in opposite side of the MPD evidence bay. I completed the evidence involvement for each item. Okay. So when they went in and grabbed stuff from like Kaylee's area and Dylan's area, all that stuff was put over with the police department side. But the defense specifically requested stuff from Xana's room, and then specific items from Maddie's room. And they were put on a separate side for defense evidence. That's interesting, because the only thing that we had heard of so far, that's what I was about to say. That right there. Oh, come on, I know I'm clicking this thing. Is this thing freezing on me? There we go. Finally, yes, that's what I was about to say. We heard a long time ago from Ethan Chapin's family in an article that his vehicle and his golf clubs were not only with evidence, but they were with the defense when it comes to looking up evidence. So yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so now we have what looks to be another interview with Maisie Chapen. Now, her last one was pretty informative, because this whole time we have been made to believe that Hunter Johnson was Ethan's BFF. BFF forever, bro. Okay? No. His own sister does not even consider Hunter Johnson a friend to Ethan. The way that she is describing their relationship was that Ethan was with Xana and Hunter was with Emily, and Emily and Xana were best friends, so they just got along. She doesn't even like describe Hunter as being an actual like friend to Ethan at all. And everything when it comes to the book, the Amazon thing, when it comes to the interviews that Hunter and Emily have done themselves, the way that Hunter has tried to make himself seem is more than what he actually is. Because according to the books, Ethan was going to choose an entirely different frat because of Hunter Johnson. Maisie doesn't even think that they were friends. She's not telling the police that they were friends. That's not how she's describing it. And those dynamics are important, because everything about this is weird and not normal and doesn't make any sense. And there's some sketchy ass people and all this stuff. Okay. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 14:20 hours, I interviewed Maisie Chapen at the Moscow Police Department, referenced the quadruple homicide at 1122 King Road. Now, is this going to be the exact same thing? No, this is a lot shorter. Okay. Maisie is Ethan Chapen's triplet sister. Maisie consented to a forensic search of her phone, and I collected it from her. I asked Maisie to tell me what her day looked like on November 12th, 2022. Maisie stated she and her blank formal the night of November 12th, 2022. Maisie stated she did not do much prior to the formal and then went to Hungadunga for the event at approximately 1900 hours. Maisie said she, Hunter Chapin, and Ethan Chapin left the formal with several other friends at approximately 2000 hours. Maisie stated she was dropped off at her house as the group was planning to go to the blank lodge party, the Sigma Chi party. However, Maisie stated she did not go and remained at her sorority until Hunter called her the morning of November 13th, 2022 at approximately 12:30. Now, I know it probably doesn't matter, but the book also says that apparently the boys went into the sorority house and got a bunch of sandwiches or sandwich stuff like out of the fridge before they took off. I don't know why, but yeah. Maisie stated Hunter told her to come to Xana's, 1122 King Road, when he called her. Maisie said Hunter did not elaborate on why she needed to come to the house. Maisie stated Hunter Johnson, Hunter Chapin, Emily Allant, Josie, last name, F, and M, so Funk and Mortonson, were all there when she arrived. Maisie said someone told her when she got there that someone was in the house and Ethan and Xana didn't make it. So nothing at all about Kaylee and Maddie yet, which honestly understandable, I guess, but still, it's still crazy how long it took for them to start being discussed. Okay. Maisie told me Ethan, Xana, and Hunter had been texting her the night prior, asking her to come to the party. Maisie said she saw the text when she woke up in the morning of November 13th, 2022. Maisie stated she did not go into the house that morning. Maisie could not think of anyone or any reason why someone would commit these homicides. I concluded my interview with Maisie, advised her to reach out if she needed resources MPD could provide. Okay, so now we're on 112. Who the frickin' frack is KF? Who is KF? It's a girl. I feel like maybe Caitlin is the name. It's not Kevin Federline. This is a chick. Kentucky, y'all are crazy. No, it's not Farley because it's like a long. It's a long F name. Candy. Yeah, I don't know who this is. I want to go back now to like watch all of the like documentaries just so I can write down all of the names. Because it'll be probably a lot easier to be able to like figure all these out. On November 14th at around 15:52 hours, I called KF to arrange an interview with her. Kay had already left Moscow and was heading to southern Idaho to be with her family. Kay told me she had contact with Bethany and Dylan on 11/12/22. Dylan arrived at her residence at 12:23 and Bethany arrived at her residence at around 23:30 hours. 22, okay, so 22:30 and then 23:30, so an hour apart. Kay lives on Taylor Avenue. Bethany and Dylan were at her residence for 2 to 3 hours. Kay stated she walked them past the Whites sometime before 0200 hours, but she could not positively tell me. Kay stated she stayed on Taylor and then turned around and she was not sure what route they took home for sure, but felt they kept walking west on Taylor towards King. Kay stated there was a group of 3 or 4 other females with Bethany and Dylan at the time. Kay did state she was drunk at the time and she could not recall all of the events and everyone who was present with the group. Kay stated she thought LM was with the group. Kay was not able to tell me anything else. Yeah, I'm not really quite sure who this is. Okay, so here we have, Eric Gower. Okay, we have an interview with Eric Gower. Why is it dated? Why are we writing these documents? January 11th of 2023, when you did this interview on November 14th of 2022. Why are we taking so long to get our work done? I don't understand that. Okay. Okay, on November 14th, it's Blaker, right? Yeah. On November 14th, I want to make this bigger so y'all can actually see it. This should be good. Okay. At around 17:10 hours, I contacted Eric Gower in the front lobby of the police department. Gower had contacted Moscow PD earlier in the day and stated he is a local Uber driver and he gave Kaylee and Maddie a ride home on 11/13 of 22. Okay, so this is where I was right. I was right about this part. Okay. I thought that they had the DoorDash coming forward and all those other things like maybe mix matched. At least I'm right if I'm remembering this right. I'm right if I'm remembering this right. Because I just said it sounded like they tried to say as if this person like didn't come like came forward to them. And I was like, how could that even be like a thing? So when it comes to the DoorDash and the ride, they put that sort of verbiage like on the DoorDash driver, but then it sounds like it was actually like Eric that was the one that came forward. And the way that all the things were being sort of like worded in the documents from yesterday, I feel like it's a big possibility that he was maybe on the clock as an Uber driver when he brought them to the corner club, but then was off the clock because it says that he like basically got off of the Uber app at like 1:15 in the morning, which is not long before he is messaged. So he might have been an Uber driver like at 10 o'clock or whatever the time was. I think it's like 10 o'clock, but he was not an Uber driver after that. After 1:15 that morning, he was not. So maybe that's just where like it comes from, because they do have him actually being like clocked into the Uber app until 1:15. So there's that. Okay. Okay. Gower had been in the Spokane Coeur d'Alene area when he contacted us and stated he would not be back until 1700 hours. I asked Gower how he knew Kaylee and Maddie. Gower stated he drives for Uber and Lyft, and Kaylee and Maddie have become some of his regular customers, and this is how he met them. He meet them is how it says. Gower stated he was contacted by Kaylee on 11/12/22 at around 22:02 hours and asked if he could pick her and some friends up at 1122 King Road and take them to the Corner Club. Okay, so automatically she's not actually going like really through the app on this. Gower arrived at the address at 20:15 hours and picked up Kaylee, Maddie, and one other female. And I'm still just like flabbergasted that this entire time they have failed to tell us that there was somebody else with Maddie and Kaylee. They have made it sound, even the Goncalveses have never once ever stated that whenever they watched them get into the Uber that took them to the Corner Club and all these things, that there was a third person. They never once said a damn thing. Gower stated at 01:45 that on 11/13/22, he was contacted by Kaylee again and asked if he could pick her up and some friends from the grub truck, but it was just supposed to be them two. So what do you mean some friends? Gower arrived at the grub truck at around 01:49 hours. Gower took Kaylee and Maddie home. He stated it was a 3 to 4 minute drive from the grub truck to 1122 King Road. Gower told me he has been driving for Uber and Lyft since 2019. Gower told me Kaylee had been a regular for at least the last year. Gower stated he was working, but Kaylee did not contact him through the Uber or Lyft app, but instead texted him directly both times. So he was on the clock for Uber till 1:15 in the morning, but was still doing all these other side job things. Okay. Gower stated when he got to the grub truck, he parked in front of the grub truck on Main Street facing south. Gower texted Kaylee he was there, and she stated they would be there in a second and said they were at order 75 and theirs was 78. So he sat there for a minute waiting for them to finish up getting their food. Kaylee and Maddie came to the vehicle a short time later. Kaylee was in the front passenger seat and Maddie was in the rear seat. Why wouldn't they have sat in the back together? Maddie was eating the food from grub truck with her hands. Huh? They all had a casual conversation. Gower stated they appeared to be fine and nothing appeared to be out of the ordinary. Why wouldn't they have both sat in the back seat? If they're sharing food, why is she sitting in the front with him? I don't like that. I guess because I wouldn't have. Maybe that's why. Gower stated he still had the text on his phone and he sent a screenshot to me. I burned those screenshots to a DVD and booked it into the property at a later time, along with other documents I had related to this case. Gower was not able to give me any more information. It's just weird. None of this stuff is normal. I don't give a damn. Interview with D. And whoever this D person is, it's a dude. And this is Brett Payne. This one's on camera. The other one wasn't. It was just like a discussion, apparently. Okay. On November 13th, 2022, at approximately 14:37 hours, I interviewed, it's Decor. It's Jack. Okay. JD at the Moscow Police Department referenced the quadruple homicides which occurred at 1122 King Road. Decor was the blank, blank, blankety blank ex-boyfriend of Kaylee Goncalves. Decor consented to have his phone forensically searched and provided me with his cell phone at the beginning of the interview. I asked Decor to tell me about his day on November 12, 2022. Decor stated he worked at blank and worked from 1400 to 2210 on November 12th. He stated he left his work and dropped off some food for a friend working at the Corner Club. Decor stated he went home at this address, then returned to the Corner Club around 2300 hours. Jacor stated he saw Goncalves at the corner club and spoke to her briefly. Jacor stated he left the corner club but was unsure if Goncalves left before or after him. So he wasn't even like paying attention. They did say in the other documents where they were talking about the coal guy being creepy and getting kicked out that whenever they did notice that Jack was there, that like he might have said hi to Kaylee for like a second, talked to her for like a minute, but he tried to stay like completely on the opposite side of the bar from her. Jacor stated he went to bed when he got home. When Jacor awoke, he told me he saw commotion down the street. 1122 King Road is visible from blank King Road. Jacor stated he later looked at his phone and saw several missed calls from Goncalves and Mogen from the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. I clarified Jacor's timeline for the night prior. He told me he left the corner club at approximately 1 o'clock and returned home. So before they did, okay. Jacor said he got a ride from PR, Papa Roger, whoever PR is, the blank of blank blank. This is probably a sober driver person, it sounds like. That's what it sounds like, from a fraternity. He told me he thought he went to sleep at approximately 01:30 hours and awoke at approximately 11:30 hours on November 13th, 2022. I asked Jacor to tell me what the commotion was he mentioned. Jacor told me he saw law enforcement and emergency vehicles in front of 1122 King Road, so he walked over to see what was happening. I asked Jacor to clarify the missed calls he received early that morning. Jacor told me he received multiple calls from Goncalves and Mogen, one of which was a FaceTime between 0240 and 0300 hours. Jacor stated he knew Mogen for some time, but she would not call him for any reason. Jacor also said Goncalves texted him to tell him he could come to her house to retrieve his vape pen. So the vape pen that they took in as evidence was his, because they took one in. I asked Jacor if he noticed or heard anything suspicious anytime recently. Jacor stated he saw a dark gold minivan backing up to King Road approximately 1 or 2 months prior. Okay. Why is that suspicious, though? That's weird. Jacor stated he did not remember any other suspicious circumstances. Jacor did add Goncalves would call him on occasion when she was walking home alone or when she was feeling sketched out. Jacor stated there were people coming in and out of 1122 King Road frequently, and more people knew the code to their door than they should have. Yeah, that's what I said too. Jacor stated he was not sure if the residents regularly locked the rear sliding glass door. Well, now we're hearing from Steve at least that it's broken. It was broken. Actually, I think that was also in Dylan's information, maybe, or one of the informations from like the first or second videos that we did was also talking about how it doesn't lock, that there's like a special thing that you can just do and it just pops open. Jacor also told me he and Goncalves owned a dog, a golden doodle named Murphy, with Goncalves. He also told me Goncalves was taking the dog out sometime in the past with Goncalves saw a shadowy figure behind the house. Jacor stated nothing else came of the incident. So he's not mentioning anything about them discussing the dog being missing or anything in any of these conversations. It was just about come get your vape pen. But this is also the exact same time frame that we're being told from Bethany that her and Maddie would have like taken the dog out, and then Maddie comes to her room and is like, hey, can you do you know where Murphy is? I can't find him. And we also didn't realize that before that one of them was a FaceTime. I don't think they mentioned that before. Okay. I asked Jacor about his relationship with Goncalves. He told me they had dated for approximately 5 years and broke up several months prior due to a loss of spark, coupled with Goncalves leaving for a job in Texas. Jacor stated there wasn't conflict and the breakup was mutual. I asked Jacor if there was anyone who flirted with Goncalves. Jacor stated there was a male by the name of ER. I think they also mentioned that name whenever they were talking about, like, she was talking to like 3 guys. She was basically juggling like 3 guys at the same time, according to the police reports. So this ER guy who often flirted with Goncalves. Jacor did not know of any past stalking incidents, nor did he know who would have committed the murders. So he knew about the person watching her from the tree, but she never told him what she apparently told her friends about being, followed around before and all this stuff that was going on since before she moved to King Road. Okay. I asked Jacor about his conversation with Goncalves at the corner club. He said the conversation was short but normal. Decor did not have any further information for me during the interview, so I concluded my interview with Decor. Okay, well, again, the Goncalveses didn't mention anything about her just being like, hey, come get your vape pen. But it's also interesting that he's like, she's calling me on, like, Maddie's calling me who never calls me, and all they're telling me is come get my vape pen. I mean, yeah, that's a bit odd. Oh, here we go. Investigation of glove. Brett Payne. Is this the glove that, yeah, okay. So this is the one that we saw a report for yesterday. This is the glove that was outside that has like the dry blood in it. On November 24th, 2022, I collected a black polar penguin glove from the parking lot of 1122 King Road. I conducted subsequent investigation by watching the BWC of Officer Nunez, the first MPD officer on scene, and looking over the scene photos taken by the ISP forensic team. None of these sources showed the glove was present upon officers' initial response to the scene or during the processing of the scene on November 13th, 2022. It is unclear where the glove came from at the time of this writing. What? Okay, so it's not where it was whenever he found it, but it's still dried blood inside of a glove. So unless there's an accident report that was written up by HR, by one of y'all's departments, where'd it come from? So this glove might not actually have like anything to do with anything, because it wasn't actually there whenever the cops first got there, meaning it wouldn't have been left behind. It came from somewhere else. Honestly, as long as it was probably like the movers, because there was stuff constantly being moved. Somebody probably like splintered their hand or cut their hand moving something. So this makes like this glove like pretty much just like pointless. Honestly. Okay. Okay, so now we have Dustin Blaker. This is just about him going to Boise to get the evidence back from Dylan, because after Bryan Kohberger was arrested, Thompson stopped everyone's evidence from getting sent back to them. And they stopped releasing it. And now they have to go back and get it. Okay. On January 6, 2023, at around 07:10 hours, I retrieved evidence from MPD Evidence Tech STS. I signed for the items and transported them to the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab in Meridian, Idaho. Refer to Evidence Tech TS records for what specific items were transported. Once I arrived in Meridian, I transferred the items from MPD to the ISP intake receptionist. All items were signed for chain of custody. I was then given several items the lab had tested and were able to be returned to MPD for storage. I signed for all items and completed the chain of custody paperwork on the bags. Prior to coming back to Moscow, I stopped at Dylan Mortonson's residence in Boise to retrieve the personal items which had been released to her, her lawyer, earlier in the week by accident. I packed these belongings into my vehicle and I returned to Moscow. Once back in Moscow, I booked all the evidence from the state lab back into property. I left Dylan's personal items locked in the vehicle I was driving, and on 1/9/23, I transported these items to the city shop and I placed them in a secure garage. So 3 days later. One item of note is as the items were being loaded into the vehicle I was driving, a Ford Fusion, we were able to get everything into the vehicle except a small table. We attempted several times to get the table into the vehicle, but it was not going to fit. Dylan Mortonson stated they did not care if the table was returned, so she had, this wouldn't be Dylan Mortonson because Dylan is not married. So whoever this D person is right here, said she didn't care if the table was returned, so she had her husband break the table and place it in the vehicle. Okay. On 110-23, I told Ann Taylor, defense counsel for the suspect, but about why and who broke the table. So a piece of evidence that the defense wanted couldn't fit into the car, so it got busted up. How interesting. A table from inside Dylan's room that they wanted got busted up, and now who knows what's going to happen with the evidence they really wanted from it. Okay, so now this is also Dustin Blaker, and this is him apparently assisting the defense team with going through the items at the police department and city shop. This is 111-23. Okay, on January 10th, 2023, at around 13:15 hours, I met with Ann Taylor and her team at the Moscow Police Department. Taylor is the defense attorney for Bryan Kohberger. Taylor had arranged to go through the garbage sent to us from Pennsylvania by FBI investigators, items from Madison's room and Xana's room, 2 vehicles belonging to Ethan Chapin. Okay, so that would have been the Ford Explorer and the red Jeep then. I need to look into more of this Ford Explorer thing. Because again, we were told that Hunter Chapin walked across with the guy who like helped wake him up to tell him what was going on or that something was going on. And Maisie got a ride. So I guess I'm just kind of like, okay. Okay, so the 2 vehicles belonging to Ethan Chapin and personal items belonging to Ethan, Dylan, and Bethany is the stuff that the defense wanted. After looking at the garbage, Taylor identified several items she felt we could discard since they contained perishable goods and they had started to spoil. We placed these items on shelves located in the northeast corner of the storage garage at the police department. Taylor also identified several items she wanted us to keep until she saw reports of these items. Taylor was good with where we were keeping the mattresses, bed frames, nightstands, shelf, and sheets from Madison's room and Xana's room. I escorted Taylor and her team to the city shop, and they went through personal items that were removed from 1122 King Road weeks earlier. These items belonged to Bethany, Dylan, and Ethan. Interesting. When Taylor was done, she identified several items she wanted MPD to hold, and she was going to request an order from the judge to take these items and have them tested. These items were placed in cardboard boxes and placed away from the other items so they would not accidentally be released. Taylor and her team looked at both vehicles while at the shop. Taylor stated she would contact Bill Thompson's office and would advise him when she felt items could be released. Interesting. Interesting. I would love to know what you saw and what made you want to hold on to those, Ann Taylor. Okay, so now we have a second report written by James Fry. This is on 111-23, but it's about something that happened over a month before on 12/7/22. But approximately 10 a.m., Lieutenant Mooney and I packed up personal belongings from Xana and Ethan's room and personal belongings from Madison's room. Captain Lanier, Captain Barrett, Captain Dollinger, Detective Vargas, and Admin Assistant KP helped box up personal items from the 1122 King Road residence. Lieutenant Mooney and I wore protective gloves and shoe booties, which were changed out after completion of Xana's room prior to going into Madison's room. I then left the residence to rent a U-Haul truck. After loading the items into the truck, I drove the vehicle to the secure storage garage at the Moscow City shop. All listed above individuals unpacked the truck into the secured storage garage where they were kept prior to releasing them to family members. And that's it for that one. Okay, so now we're on 119. Explain to me, please, why the person writing this freaking police report's name is redacted. Why are we not allowed to see the person who is a government employee who wrote this report? How freaking stupid. Okay, so this is the narrative. On Wednesday, December 7th, 2022, at approximately 10 a.m., I accompanied Moscow Police Department's command staff and Detective Vargas, as well as Mike Mooney of the Idaho State Police, to 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. In the entryway of the residence at 1122 King Road, I put on PPE to include shoe covers and black latex gloves. So are you ISP? Like, who is you? I don't think it's an admin assistant. I don't think it would be an admin assistant coming in and like collecting evidence. I think this is an ISP person. I don't know. Okay, whatever. My activities inside the residence included placed the personal belongings of Bethany Funk's bedroom into boxes. This bedroom is located. Gotta love the grammar, broskies. Like, I've been really trying hard. The grammar. This bedroom is located on the first floor, east side. Captain Roger Lanier and Detective Vargas assisted with this task. Placed the personal belongings of Dylan Mortonson bedroom in boxes. This bedroom is located on the second floor, east side. Detective Vargas assisted with this task. Place the items located on the first floor, west side bedroom into boxes and or stacked by the door to be loaded. Captain Lanier and Detective Vargas assisted with this task. After packing the bedrooms, I moved taped boxes from the second floor living room area to the top of the stairway to be passed down the stairs and loaded into the U-Haul truck. After completion of these tasks, I removed my gloves, shoe covers, and left the residence. After riding with Captain Barrett and Detective Vargas to the city shop's secure garage, I helped unload items from the truck and stack the boxes according to the names on the boxes. The command staff and Detective Vargas assisted with this task. Okay, so it is admin assistant. You're right. Okay, it is the administrative assistant to the chief. Okay, so Fry's admin assistant. Interesting. Okay. So then we have on Wednesday, December 7th at approximately 10 a.m., I accompanied Moscow Police Department's command staff and Detective Vargas, as well as Mike Mooney to the Idaho State Police, to 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho. In the entryway of the residence, okay, is this the same thing? This is the exact same, like literally the exact same thing. Okay, it's twice. Okay. Okay, so here's 120. Roger Lanier. And this is a supplemental report to the items being packed. Which again, like it's over a month. Like, why are they not instantly writing these reports? Let's not pretend they were actually doing anything. This is wild. On December 7th, 2022, at approximately 09:45 hours, I responded to 1122 King Road with other members of the command team to pack personal items of the residents who lived there. I worked with Detective Vargas and admin assistant KP, who packed Bethany's room, which was on the first floor, east end. I primarily built boxes and packed up all of the clothes and shoes in the closet, as well as a few bedding items. Okay. The next room we worked on was a bedroom not in use on the first floor, west end. In that room, we packed a few miscellaneous items, a computer, shoes, golf clubs, and various items that were stored in the room, and the owner was uncertain. Okay. The last room we packed, Dylan's room, on the second floor, off of the kitchen at the bottom of the stairs. My role in that room was primarily taping boxes together, then taping boxes shut and making them with Dylan's name or the initial D. After completing the packing portion, Chief Fry arrived with the U-Haul van. I stayed in the back of the van, packed boxes as they were carried out from the residence by other team members. After the van was packed, I followed the van driven by Chief Fry in my patrol car to the city shop secure storage building. At that point, all of the team members unloaded boxes and stacked them by room in the storage building, the storage building that secured the door and left. They secured the door and then they left. Jesus. Okay. Here's 121 and it opened up in the wrong spot. What are you doing? Okay. One more time. There we go. Tyson Barrett. Mogen text message release. Okay. One 1823. Mogen text message release, Captain Barrett. On 12/14/22, KL asked me if there was a way to ensure the personal text messages and photos shared between her and Madison would not be deleted or lost off Madison's phone, so her mom. I told her I would check with our forensic detective. On 12/15/22, I talked with Detective Mowry about saving the messages and photos on Madison's phone that were between her and blank, her mom. Detective Mowry said he could save the information separately on a disk. He then suggested providing the disk to Karen. I then spoke with the Latell County prosecutor, and he said I could release the disk to Karen. On 12/19, I mailed the disk to her. On 12/20, she contacted me and said she received it. Well, that was nice. So they went through and downloaded the message thread between Maddie and her mom and then sent it to her so that she wouldn't lose it. It's good to know. That was nice of them. Okay. Phone interview. This is Brett Payne. And this is a phone interview with K and EA. I'm pretty positive Emily's mom's name is also Karen, because they talked a lot about Karen in the book when it came to her relationship with Xana and how she pretty much like tried to sort of be there for her a lot because she didn't really have that. So they have a lot of that like in there about their relationship. Apparently this Karen, Emily's mom, is the first person that she called whenever her and Ethan like became official. She's the first person that she called. So they were really, really close. Okay. Narrative. On 1/18/23. Oh, so this is actually like something actually being done interview-wise after the fact. Okay. On 1/18/23, I spoke to Karen Allant, Emily Allant's mom, referenced a suspicious occurrence she and Emily remembered at 1122 King Road. I called Karen and asked her what she remembered. Karen told me she came to Moscow to celebrate Emily's birthday on blank 2022. Kaylee Goncalves planned a party for Emily at 1122 King Road that evening. I wonder if this is the same story where Xana went to the Pullman airport and picked up Karen, because that was something that they talked about too. Karen stated several people, to include Goncalves and Emily, were on the back patio during the party. Goncalves' dog Murphy was also present. Karen stated Murphy ran up into the bushes behind the house on several occasions and would not return when called. Karen stated they called Murphy numerous times before he would come back. Karen told me the group eventually went inside and shut the door. This was the only occurrence Karen was present for, but told me Emily remembered more similar occasions. With the dog just like going and playing in the bushes and not wanting to come back because he's a dog? Unless they're trying to say that somebody was in the bushes keeping him there, like by petting him and getting him like comfortable with them. Because that's a thing too. Grooming of the dog beforehand. That's a thing. Oh, hold on. I got to answer my dad. He wants to know if I know what state the band Leonard Skinner is from. That's a random question, Dad. I'll find out for you. Okay. What state is... Isn't it like Alabama? Like you would think, right? Florida. Oh, he's going to throw a fit. Let's see. Google says Jacksonville, Florida. He'll send me random stuff like that because he don't use the internet. Unless he's here. Then he's all over the TV and the YouTubes. Okay, so I answered that question for him. Plus, everybody's in the chat. Y'all already know. That's hilarious. There's so many. Florida, Florida, Florida. That's funny. Okay. Okay, back to this. So in this story, Murphy's going off into the bushes and Karen's like, that's apparently strange because he wouldn't come back. So yeah, I guess if they are thinking that somebody that's in the background watching from the tree line might be in the bushes. I will say this, and I really wish that Brett Norton would like actually answer this question, or maybe Steve could maybe be honest for once. That'd be beautiful too. Whenever she was being interviewed on Melissa Jade's channel about all the crazy crap, the conversations between her and Steve, she also said that there was one point that Steve told her on the phone that at like 10 something in the morning, he got a phone call from somebody, a female that lives in the neighborhood, which that's about as vague as it could possibly freaking get, apparently screaming about how there was someone in the woods, in like the tree part. And that's crazy because that was never mentioned, but we also didn't know about the fact that he was like at urgent care that morning either. So there's like a lot of stuff, honestly, that we don't really know a lot about whatsoever. And again, everything when it came to the conversations that Brat Norton and Steve had, it was all verified. So I don't know why you'd do something so stupid as to say something so out of freaking bounds that's not real after pushing and fighting so hard to prove that everything that was going on was real. I don't know why you would then come out and say something that was false after all that hard work, if that makes any sense. Because she really pushed to like get people to understand, like, this is not bullshit. Like, this is really what was going on. And it ended up she was just like a middleman basically between Steve and Howie Bloom Blum, whatever, is pretty much like what it turned into. So I wish that we would get some clarification on that, because 10 o'clock in the morning, a female in the neighborhood, was it Dylan? Was it Bethany? Like, do they all have y'all's numbers? Is there something else here that we don't know about? Does somebody else in the neighborhood have y'all's numbers? Like, can we get something about that? Because again, she fought real hard for us to be able to like see all the proof that y'all were really conversing to just say something stupid. So I just don't know how stupid it is, if that makes any sense. Okay. I called Emily on 1/19/23, referenced these occurrences. Emily also related the occasion on her birthday and added it was unlike Murphy not to immediately return home when called, which is the reason she and Goncalves were concerned about someone being behind the house when Murphy would behave in this manner. See what I just said? Grooming of the dog. Emily told me about another occasion on 10/29/22, during which she was at 1122 King Road for a Halloween party. Emily told me Mogen, Goncalves, Kernodle, and Chapin were all present at the party. During the party, Emily stated the group gathered on the back patio once again, and Murphy began to run into the wood line behind the house and not come back. Is this the same wood line where she said that somebody was watching her? Kaylee said that. Emily told me they heard noises too. She described these noises as similar to what it would sound like if someone was moving through the woods on foot. This occasion took place midday, and they did not see anyone behind the house. However, Murphy's behavior and the noises caused them to go inside and close the door. I'd be calling the cops. I don't give a damn. My dog acting crazy like there's somebody in the damn bushes. I'm hearing walking. No, I'm calling the cops. Bring your damn flashlight because somebody's like casing my house. I'm just saying. I don't give a damn. I'm calling the cops. The last occasion Emily remembered took place approximately 2 weeks prior to the homicides. Emily was unsure of the date. Emily stated Murphy displayed similar behavior of running into the woods and not coming back when called. Emily also recalled an occurrence during the same time frame, exact date unknown, wherein she and Goncalves returned to 1122 King Road and found the rear sliding door standing open. So the other story, the one that we got yesterday, was that at one point a couple of the girls got home and the front door was wide open and the wind was so strong it was making it basically come off of the hinges, and they had to have Xana's dad Jeff came and basically screwed the hinges back on and tightened the hinges so where the door didn't come off. Now this is the back door being open and Murphy was missing. Emily stated they had to go out and look for Murphy after they found the door open. So basically they're trying to say that somebody was in the house, let the door open on purpose so Murphy could get out. This sounds like someone was grooming the dog. I asked Emily if it was common for people who didn't live at 1122 King Road to walk in when no one was home. Emily stated it was not uncommon. But this behavior right here with the dog is sketchy. More about the dog like needs to be looked at, because what? It sounds like somebody was trying to groom the dog. That's what it seems like. Okay, so this is Tyson Barrett, and this was written on 1/20/23. We're on supplemental number 123, so we're probably going to go ahead and close it off here at 125. Because it's Friday night, so I'm going to go watch a movie with the boys. Like I said, if I can't sleep later, I might get on like late as hell and go through some more, but that's not a promise at all. Let's see. On 11/13/22 at around 1200 hours, I received a phone call from Sergeant Gunderson informing me his team responded to a call at 1122 King Road where they found 4 deceased college-aged individuals inside the residence. He said it was apparent they had all been... Yeah. Sergeant Gunderson said they did not know the location or identity of the suspect. Sergeant Gunderson said his team had cleared the residence and secured the scene. He said they identified a group of college-aged individuals outside the residence and had started interviewing them. I called Chief Fry, Captain Lanier, Captain Dollinger to let them know about the homicide. I called Detective Sergeant Lawrence, told him about the homicide, and asked him to call in detectives. Sergeant Lawrence said he would call in Sergeant Blaker and Corporal Payne to assist as well, because they were slated to rotate into detectives soon. Sergeant Lawrence said he was also calling the Idaho State Police to ask the Region 2 detectives to process the crime scene. I called B.E., U of I think that's like that Ben Eccles guy. Is it Ben? It is Eccles for sure. U of I Dean of Students and BL with U of I Office of Public Safety and Security to inform them of the homicide because the residence was near the U of I campus and the victims appeared to be college students. When I arrived on scene, I met with Sergeant Gunderson and Sergeant Lawrence on the street in front of the residence. We briefly discussed the scene, and I was given the names of 4 individuals who were killed: Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves. I was also told 2 of the witnesses outside, Dylan Mortonson and Bethany Funk, were roommates and were apparently inside the residence when the incident occurred. Sergeant Gunderson told me a dog was taken out of Kaylee Goncalves' room and transported to the Humane Society for safekeeping. He told me it didn't appear the dog had gone into the rooms where the murders were committed because it didn't have any visible red stuff on its body, which again, how? We're supposed to believe that the doors were open and the door to Kaylee's room was open and he's just chilling. No. I'm sorry. That doesn't make any sense. I contacted U of I Dean Eccles and gave him the victims' names and asked if he could verify if they were students. He contacted me later and confirmed all 4 were students, but didn't have any emergency contact information for them other than their permanent addresses. At 13:04, the University of Idaho sent out a vandal alert via text message regarding the homicide. At about 13:30 hours, we moved the witness, who I believed were students that patrol identified on King Road, to the Moscow Police Department training room. I met with Sergeant Lawrence, Sergeant Blaker, Corporal Payne, and Detective Mowry and asked them to start interviewing each person. I also met with CF, U of I Associate Dean of Students, at the police department. I talked to her earlier about having the students come to the police department to be interviewed. F had an assistant with her, and they were there to comfort the students and be a resource if necessary. While I was in the training room, I was told 2 of the witnesses were Ethan Chapin's siblings, Maisie and Hunter. They told me their parents had been informed of Ethan's death and they were on their way to Moscow. I asked Sergeant Lawrence to arrange death notifications for Kaylee Goncalves and Maddie Mogen's parents. He later informed me a Kootenai deputy went to the Goncalves' home to notify them of Kaylee's death, and they had already been made aware. Well, they weren't made aware. They were told by everybody else but the cops. Okay. Captain Dollinger told me he met Xana Kernodle's father, Jeff, on scene. Captain Dollinger said he asked Jeff to meet him at the police department where he informed him of Xana's death. Sergeant Lawrence said a Coeur d'Alene officer went to S&K, Scott and Karen Laramie's house to notify them of Maddie Mogen's death. Karen is Madison's mom. Sergeant Lawrence was informed that the Laramies have been informed and were already on their way to Moscow. When the Laramies arrived at the police department, I did the death notification and asked Sergeant Lawrence to interview them. At around 14:15 hours, I met with President S.G. Scott Green and his staff in his office on campus. I told them about the homicides and that the suspect's location and identity remained unknown. I returned to the police department and J.D. Jack Decor approached me asking if I could release the dog Murphy to him. He said he and Kaylee Goncalves both owned the dog. At that point, I was busy working with detectives and administration and didn't release the dog. I talked with Corporal Payne, who had interviewed Jack Decor. He said Decor had been in a relationship with Kaylee Goncalves, indicating they had broke up a few months ago. Corporal Payne said Decor told him he and Goncalves remained friends after the breakup. I asked about the dog that had been removed from the residence and taken to the animal shelter. Corporal Payne said Ducour told him that he and Kaylee both owned the dog. Later that afternoon, Ducour approached me again and asked if I could release the dog to him. I called Captain Lanier, who was with Sergeant Gunderson outside 1122 King Road. Captain Lanier confirmed with Sergeant Gunderson that they understood Ducour co-owned the dog, and the dog was taken to the animal shelter for safekeeping. I was told the dog was uninjured and didn't have any blood on it. But did they actually test it to see if maybe some residue from blood was on the skin? Because just because the hair might look clean don't mean a lot. I agreed to release Murphy to Ducour because it was my understanding we had only taken the dog into custody for safekeeping and he was an owner. I asked to have a patrol officer meet Ducour at the animal shelter to release the dog. I continued to work with detectives and command staff for the rest of the day. I could have sworn in the mainstream stuff, it said that it was the next day. That the pictures that came out of Jack putting the dog in the car, I could have sworn it was the day after, but I could be wrong. I could be remembering incorrectly. Okay, so the next two, the last two are ones that they deem no redaction needed. This one is from Danny Vargas, and it is friend and family area canvas. Okay. On November 20th, 2022, multiple friends and family of the victims gathered in Moscow, organized into several groups, and canvassed several areas in Moscow for possible evidence. I was contacted by several people from the groups when they located something of interest. I met with the groups and photographed and collected the following items. A clear food service grade plastic glove located at the top of the hillside to the west of the walking path in between Nez Perce and the U of I administration building. Just down from where this plastic glove was located was a large beige metal Generac generator box. Generac, okay. There was a plastic bag inside of the box, which looked like it had a white grease rags inside of it. I photographed this item and did not collect it. A light pink beige pair of women's undies, Warner brand. This was located in a juniper shrub by the Shattuck Amphitheater in the Charles Houston Shattuck Arboretum. Okay. A black winter glove, one size fits all. This item was located near the steps which lead from Memorial Gym parking lot 39 up to the tennis courts. The items I collected were transported to MPD, stored in a temporary storage in detectives. What? The items I collected were transported to MPD, stored in a temporary storage in detectives, so they could in detectives what? So they could dry and were later booked into MPD evidence. Okay. One group located what they believed to be red spots on several rocks in the Arboretum and Botanical Garden near the gathering place on the north side near the kiosk. Detective Talbot with ISP tested the spots and determined they were not red. One group located what they believed to be red on the stairs at Building 5 at the Grove Apartments. Detective Talbot determined it was not red stuff. The photos I took were copied onto a DVD and booked into evidence. So nothing. Absolutely, actually nothing. Okay. Here's the last one. And then it's snack and movie time. That's what's about to happen. Okay. Let's get this off of here. Detailed information about Kaylee Goncalves' dog during initial response. This is a good one to end on. We just had all that other crazy stuff. So that's something else that we're going to do is get all the stuff about Murphy put all together. That stuff about his behavior is interesting because I'm telling you right now, I've questioned for I don't even know how long, is this somebody that the dog knew? Were they tranquilized somehow? Was the dog given something and tranquilized because of there not being anything on the dog and it being 8 hours? And then on top of that, again, we have the back door, the back slider apparently being open whenever first responders got there. Then we have the front door apparently being open at all hours of the morning because it's now in a police report. The rumor that we had in the very beginning of the door being wide ass open. It makes it sound as if the two girls were outside already whenever Hunter Johnson first got there. So it would already be okay for the door to be open because they're outside covering their mouths whenever someone shows up. So you mean to tell me he didn't go into a room? If Kaylee's door was truly open the whole freaking 8 hours, okay, that he didn't go into Kaylee, into the bed where Kaylee was with Maddie, jump on the damn bed, get blood all over himself, trying to sniff her and see what's going on because he knows damn well something's wrong, that he didn't get paws full of blood all over the house from running around, and that he eventually didn't run out either that back slider that he could have nudged all the way open with his nose or that front door that was wide open for hours. How does that make logical sense? Was he tranquilized? And y'all waited to call 911 or call anybody over until the dog finally started waking up? What's up? Too much. Too much. Okay. This is Gunderson. Detailed information about Kaylee Goncalves' dog during initial response. On 11/13/22 at approximately 12:05 hours, I arrived at 1122 King Road, reference an unconscious subject. It was quickly determined the scene was likely a quadruple homicide based on our observations. When I arrived on the third floor to assess the scene, I noticed a medium-sized, curly-haired, tan dog on the bed inside the western third floor bedroom, later identified as Kaylee Goncalves' room. The dog appeared timid, scared, and didn't react to our presence. Due to the chaos surrounding the scene, my initial concern was preserving the scene. As part of that process, I asked one of the officers to shut the door so the dog would not attempt to jump on the bed with any of the victims. Well, honey, if he didn't do it for 8 hours, what makes you think he's going to suddenly do it now? This is not normal dog behavior. After the area was cordoned off and the area was secure, Corporal Snyder began taking photos of the scene. At some point prior to this process, the dog moved from the bed to under the desk in Kaylee's room. They must have noticed that at some point whenever they were taken, like going in and out. After photos were completed, I asked LCSO Deputy Olson to respond and assist by taking the dog to the Humane Society of the Palouse for safekeeping. I collected the dog from under the desk. The dog was timid and took some coaxing to move from under the desk, but did not appear to have any obvious injuries or stains on its body or paws. Due to the amount of red inside the bedrooms where the victims were located and the lack of red on or around the dog, I don't believe the dog was on or around the victims. How? I walked the dog to the front door where Officer Warner was stationed and asked him to hold on to the dog until Deputy Olson arrived. A short time later, Deputy Olson arrived. I walked the dog from Officer Warner to Deputy Olson, who was standing in the street. At my request, Deputy Olson transported the dog to the Humane Society of the Palouse. I asked Deputy Olson to write on the intake sheet for the Humane Society to not release the dog to anyone unless the Moscow Police Department gave approval first. After I released the dog to Deputy Olson, I resumed managing the scene until I was relieved by the detective unit. 4. Other. I did not take any photos of the dog specifically during my response to the scene. Why would you not take pictures of the damn dog? Some of the photos taken by Corporal Snyder have the dog in the background. The dog can also be seen on my BWC. Why would you not hold up the dog's paws, make sure his paws spread open some, take pictures to make sure of his paws open, take pictures of his fur? Why would you not do that? In reviewing Officer Nunez's body cam of his initial response and clear of the residence, the door of Goncalves' bedroom was open upon his arrival and the dog was laying on the bed. Tell me if that's normal. That's not normal. Doors wide open, blood all over the place, other things coming out of the body that has been, happening over the past 8 hours. This is an animal. This is an animal that has extremely sensitive sense of smell. How insane. It doesn't even make sense. That's not like how a dog would normally behave. I just don't understand that. Like, to me, there's no way that door was just open the whole time. You've got literally both ends of the house wide open. Either the dog was tranquilized or the damn door was shut the entire time up until the 911 call was made. And they just basically just hoped the dog wouldn't walk out of the room and contaminate the scene. Or maybe they wanted the dog to contaminate the scene. I don't understand. Insane. The dog part is wild. Absolutely wild. I don't get it. Barking for 30 minutes or so after SV1 leaves. And then it abruptly stops. The dog hair that was found in Bryan Kohberger's apartment was not Murphy's. But see, I can't even trust that it was dark hair, because if you're looking at somebody's like silhouette, you can't really tell if it's a blonde or a brunette. Golden doodle. He's a golden doodle. All right, I know I missed some colory stuff, so let me go in here and check this before we get off for the night. Oh, where we at? Where we at? Okay, thank you for the $9.99, Penny. Reread the part of Doc from last night, the part about JS blood at his place, similar to the spatter at 1122 in the stairwell to the basement. That's where BM and BF were. Didn't say from second to third floor. No, I know. That's where, because that's the stairwell where it was found, was the one that leads to down where Bethany was. And that's why they acted like, oh, it wasn't a big deal, because they don't have any proof that the suspect went down there to begin with. So they just, it was irrelevant. It was old. It had nothing to do with the scene, was like their whole thing. But it's still interesting to me that right off the bat, they're trying to compare like the way the spatter marks are to what they saw inside King Road. Someone else also said, like in the comments, that 94 is a mistake, which I sort of understand that. I haven't gotten to the document where it actually physically says that yet. Apparently there's like a correction document. We haven't gotten there yet. But if it is a mistake, that makes sense, because there is only like 4 swabs or 4 like samples at the top of the paper. But you'd think that they would like make corrections to stuff. It's insane. Thank you for the 189. I've got something to say. And thank you for the PayPal. You weren't in here whenever I said something yesterday. I saw that you said you came in like 30 minutes late. So thank you for that. Did you see Grizzlies live? I was disappointed. No. Because of that right there. I don't want to be disappointed, because I really super love her. She was really like a big motivation for me to start my channel. And I don't like what I'm seeing when it comes to this case, because I feel like she's just sort of like latching on to all of the crap, like the jumpsuit Pablo stuff, that kind of stuff. And I can't do any of it. I love the crap out of her, but I don't want a reason to like be upset with her. So I haven't been watching, because I respect what she does. Like she deep dives into things, but the way that like her opinion is on this is wild to me, in the way that it is. So yeah, no, I did not. Thank you for the $9.99, Cindy. I appreciate that. Thank you. Kaz, thank you for the 5. I don't think he did it. He admitted because he gave up. There was someone following her that night. Why do you think he got the deal? He offered, well, the defense team is the one who came to them. But we also need to keep in mind that that wasn't until after Judge Hippler basically handed them a form. I think it was like the May 15th hearing, and was like, have y'all done any of this stuff? And they were like, no. And they were like, well, here, fill this out, or here, take this form. And the deadline for that was the end of June, which is the exact same time that all this happened. So what I really feel like it was, I think that's the one thing Thompson was actually honest about, was that when Judge Hippler acted like a complete a-hole about the alternate perpetrator evidence, I think Ann Taylor knew then there's no point in us going to trial, because this isn't going to work. They're going to completely play this, and it's just not going to work. But look what's happening now. They just got Moscow Police Department to release everything that they have. And I just asked you guys, because I know so many of you have either like watched past me or have read past where we're at here on the channel yourselves. And y'all are like, yeah, there's nothing else there. There's nothing else there. There's nothing else there. And I've been watching. I've been watching again, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, Facebook. I've been going and seeing what people might be talking about. What am I going to be walking into basically in these documents? Nothing. Nothing. And unlike what people want to believe, because even if the judge says it out of his own face about how filing an appeal will void the agreement of the plea agreement, people are still wanting to sit here and argue saying, oh, he can't appeal. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are stupid. Quit pushing this. He can't appeal nothing. The judge literally said it out of his own bald-headed ass face. What do you mean? Yes, he can. We've been saying forever, no appeal doesn't mean no appeal. And even after the judge says it, they want to argue that he can't do anything. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. There's nothing here. And like I said, I don't give a crap how many devices he scrubbed. He can't scrub his laptop and make it disappear off the servers at Instagram. That's not how it works. But the fact that there is information so hardcore about there being some sort of stalker is a huge issue for me. Because they came out and pretended like that wasn't even a thing. And they're still saying that Bryan wasn't stalking anyone. So why are they pretending like there wasn't a stalker when there was a stalker, while also telling us that their suspect, there's no proof he was stalking anyone? That doesn't make sense to me. That's absolutely just dumb. Absolutely stupid. Thanks for the 10, Kaz. The DNA matches 3 people. She had a stalker that night. There was a man behind the house looking for something while police were there. The cops asked him to leave. They never got his name, etc. Why do I feel like I remember that story? That actually sounds familiar. I'm going to go back and see if we can find any articles on that. That sounds familiar. Thank you for the 5, Kaz. This case reminds me of the Delphi murders. Another innocent man. I'm sensitive, and I said this from day one. Yeah, I mean, nothing is making any sense. They're not connecting anything. There's more sketchy shit going on than they led up to when it comes to the involvements of certain things. Because, I mean, the way that, like, these documents make it seem, it's like something could have happened with Xana and Ethan, or something could have happened because Kaylee really did have a stalker, and this guy was all pissy because she's been gone for forever, and he took this as a crime of, like, opportunity of her being there. And maybe part of her hesitance to go back was because she knew that somebody was watching her. But this was something that was happening since May, before Kohberger even moved to the area, according to her friends. Since before May, before she moved to King Road. Insane. Thank you for joining, Island Girl. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Reality, thank you. Thank you for the 5. You're great at reading these documents. Thank you for this. Thank you for being here to listen. Because there's a lot here. And it's all, like, look how important this stuff is. This is wild. This is absolutely crazy. Thank you for the $4.99, Lorca. Jules, thanks for your read and especially for your commentary. It's insightful and cracks me up. I don't try to be funny, guys. I really don't try to say crazy stuff. I know my mouth just says crazy shit. I can't help it. Thank you for the $2, Haiti. And thank you again, Haiti. Problem is, we never know what to believe from SG. I know. That's why I said, after seeing his antics with wanting to be in front of the courthouse the way that he was, whenever they could actually have been escorted, and then making us feel like, I guess personally, like I was like, I cannot believe they're not escorting them into the courthouse. I cannot believe they're not protecting them from the media. I cannot believe, what if somebody came and like tried to do something crazy because they're walking out there and they've had so much attention? Anything could have happened. But then to know there was escorts, there was side entrances and back entrances because everyone else used them but Steve. And he's lied about so many things. He can't sit here and just say, oh, so many things that, we had wrong. You made up all those things. You admitted that. Thank you for the $1.99, Mama Tracy. Who do y'all think was the actual target? I don't know. My theory with the university leans everything on something that happened with Xana and Ethan. Like everything. But now we're also hearing all this stuff about like this creepy crap going on around King Road with Kaylee. Some people think it's a double event. I haven't found evidence of that. Some people believe that. Some people believe that something happened for one reason, and then other people came in, or another person came in and did something for a second reason, and somehow neither one of them knew that the two things were going to be happening, which I can't find that. I can't find that. I know some people believe that, though. And Molly sitting there in front of the house, pretending that she doesn't know that it's the house, while she's like perv staring into somebody's bathroom window, watching a girl do what in the bathroom window? Why is that not talked about more? Why are you not in trouble for being creepy? What? Wild. Thank you for the $5, Danny. Destroying 1122 is the same as cremating the bodies. No going back. Timelines hidden in partially undigested food in tummies. Spatter pattern. Grubbed. Yeah, I want to know what was in their stomach contents. It's also really wild to hear from Eric Gower. Maddie was eating with her hands in the back of the car. That whole thing with him is just weird too. And again, 3 years, guys, almost 3 years. And they never, ever let it slip one time that there was a fourth girl with Kaylee and Maddie that night. I mean, a third girl with Kaylee and Maddie that night. That got ready with them at King Road, that took the car with them to King Road, and was at the at the Corner Club. What I want to know, I don't think we read this, but what I would like to know is, what time did she leave the Corner Club? Like, when did her and Kaylee and Maddie like actually separate for the night, since they got together and went together? You know what I mean? That's what I want to know. Thank you for the $9.99. Shalom. Jules, you keep it so for real, and I love you so much for that. I'm tired of YouTube channels simping for BF and DM as well. Thank you for asking great questions. Oh, you mean like Gray Hughes and his obsession with Dylan? I know it's disgusting and pervy. I know all about it. I don't understand that. Yeah, it's just gross. It's just so nasty. Thank you for the $2. Danny. Dee Dee dropped food, took pic, then stayed, or vice versa? From my memory of what it just said, she parked in front of King Road for 15 minutes, again, while seeing somebody popping in and out of the window on the third floor in the bathroom. So you're sitting there for 15 minutes, like literally in front of the house that you can't find, saying that it's because you can't see the numbers. You can see the damn numbers. And then she drives up the back to the parking lot area, and then gets out her vehicle and walks back down the street, that decline. And then as she's walking down this decline to the front of King Road, again, even though she claims that she doesn't know which freaking house she's supposed to be at, this is the direction that she's walking. This is where she sees the tan car with like a ginger guy with the white shirt. Tan. She says tan car. They're like, oh, it's an SUV. You can tell the difference. What you mean? So I don't understand that part. And then at some point, it even mentions how she takes her dog out and like walks around with her dog. Like, why are you taking your dog for a freaking walk whenever you're door dashing, trying to figure out the house you have to drop the food off at? What? That doesn't make any damn sense. But at some point it says that after she's done all of this, after she has parked in front of the house for 15 minutes, drove up to the parking area, got out, walked down, saw the car, turned around, got back in her car. Then she drives back down, puts the food on the front porch, takes a picture, and then leaves. Like, what? What? Just insane. Thank you for the $1.99, Brooke. What do you for real think happened? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Someone apparently was going in and out of that house quite a bit and leaving the front door wide open, leaving the slider wide open, letting Murphy get out, watching from the trees. And according to their friends, this shit was happening from before Kaylee even moved to King Road. But I still cannot let go of the university's involvement. Everything with Ethan and Xana being kept so secret, so quiet the entire time. And the whole look that way so you don't look this way bullshit that they've played from the beginning. Like, all of these answers just make everything more complicated. Because it's proof that they lied. Why lie about Kaylee actually having a stalker? You've got all these people with all of these stories of Kaylee telling all of these things about all these problems, and then you're going to come out to the public and say, nah. What? So I don't know. I don't know what for real happened, because they have just completely melted my brain all over again. Yeah, like the cold food. Like you're sitting there, you already came from Pullman. Then you're sitting there for 15 minutes. My food is going to get nasty. Then you're driving around to the back. You're waiting for how long? Like how long was all this really? Because there is like at 3:59 or right before 3:59, there's like the locking sound. Like it sounds like somebody's locking their doors on the Linda Lane. So it sounds like that's the DoorDasher getting out. And some people were like, why would she lock her doors to DoorDash? Well, because so many other people said that area was dangerous. Like several people said it was dangerous. I could have sworn in the very beginning there was a lot of controversy when it came to the driver, because he himself apparently said that it was dangerous out there too. So that's why he didn't stick around. But then everyone was like, okay, you said it's dangerous, but then you say that you didn't even watch Kaylee and Maddie walk into the front door. So it's so dangerous that you want to hurry up and get out of there, but you can't sit in your car for another extra 30 seconds in safety of your vehicle to make sure that these girls get inside their house in this dangerous area. That was a big thing. And now we have the K-bar list, and there's a purchase in July, MM as the initials. How can we have two MMs with Pullman affiliations and it not be the same person? That's also the DoorDasher. That's also Bill Thompson's BFF. Like, how could we not? Insane. It's just insane. Oh, and then to have her dog. She had her dog with her. So if you're locking your door, that means that you're turning off your car. So you're leaving your dog in the car with the car off and to beep the door. Because my Honda, when it's on, you can't lock it and make it beep with the fob. Because we have to remember she's claiming she had her dog with her. And at some point while searching for the house to drop the food off, she decides to take her dog for a walk. Like, what? I need to like learn how to meditate or something. This is so stupid. This is insane. Just so insane. Okay, I'm going to get off of here and find movies to relax to so I can maybe put my brain back together a little bit. I will be back tomorrow. I'm not going to give you a time because every time I try to do when it's early, it doesn't work. So I'll just be on whenever I get on, and I'll put like a link out like 30 minutes before I actually go live. I need to get my Jack and Lily Sullivan update out. Those are the two missing kids from Nova Scotia. I had one ready to go and then needed to put the one for Megan Boss out first, which I finally was able to put out this morning. But now we've got like more information coming out from the mother's stepdad. So I don't know if I want to put that with that or if I'm going to do it separately. I don't know, but there's some crazy shit going on in that one too. But I'm going to go live twice tomorrow, regardless. We're just going to do this damn thing because we're just now getting to like stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and close all this stuff out. Thank you so much for spending your Friday night with me, even though it's still early. It's only 9:34. Y'all can still go out there and get into some crazy stuff. It is Friday night, right? I don't even know my days of the week anymore. Yep, it's Friday night. So if y'all go do something, I'm going to. Tea, lots of tea, lots of honey. Oh, that's about to happen. That's about to happen. See, that's a good question. I'm really wondering, like the dog thing, like, are you trying to say that so that there's an explanation for like certain dog prints being in certain places? Or did you really have Murphy and it wasn't really your dog, but you took him out the house and you waited around? You took him with you. You waited around for whatever was needing to be finished inside. And then whenever you got the go ahead, you put him back inside. I mean, there's a million different things you can come up with this. I can't believe this crap. This information is insane. Absolutely insane. Okay, thank you so much for the new members, for the super stickers. I don't think there was any gifted memberships, but thank you anyway, because there's been so many throughout the time that we've been doing this. And thank you for the super chats and all the things. And thank you for spending your time here with me. Again, I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what time. You'll see it whenever it pops up. Y'all have a good night. Let me go ahead and pop this on here. Please not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. All right, you guys. See y'all.